Okay.
We good?
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, I'd like to call the Village Council regular meeting to order May 11th, 2021. I show the time at 6:32. I also show we have a full quorum with us, with Councilman Bob Markleese participating remotely. I'll need a motion to allow Councilman Markleese to participate remotely.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next up, we have adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes or?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. All this is under new business.
Okay. So we're gonna start with 5.
Yeah, so new business number 5, discussion and consider adoption of personnel policy revisions, adding Article 3, Section 8, pay for interim assignments. Which you here,
So,
do you have one of these? Do you have another one of these?
I'll just take it to when I go to read it. So
Okay.
that's 4.
Yeah.
That would be new business 5.
Yeah, here, it's right there.
Okay. Perfect.
Then new business number 6, discuss and consider of entering supplemental agreement with Sharp Patel CPA in the amount of $38.70 for services for May 12, 21 to June 30, 21, and authorize manager to execute the agreement and authorize staff to prepare future budget amendment. And then new business, added new business number 7. Discuss and consider entering agreement with United States EPA to install temporary air monitoring system at Marvin Park and/or Village Hall site if allowed by property owners, monitor air quality, and authorize manager to execute agreement contingent upon attorney review.
And then Joe, you have something too, right? You wanted to revise that agenda item?
No, you know what? I checked with Kim. On unfinished business, I was concerned that we had misstated, and Christina, you can confirm, on number 3 at the end, not to exceed 1.8 million to the Village Hall. That is a correct number, is that correct? Everything else was 1.18.
That's how we've been, well, it's not to exceed 1.8, so I mean, it could be 1.1. It's less than
We're not
1.8.
exceeding that.
Okay.
And that's the number that we've carried throughout the whole thing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That's how all the resolution and then the documents that you're going to approve have the lower amount.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did Andy go?
He's in the kitchen.
Okay. So terrific.
No other changes.
No other changes, so I'll need to.
You think we need it?
Bob, you're good?
I'm good.
I'll need to, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, we have Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. After second.
Well, step off, that's okay. All right, thank you all. Next up, public comment period. Do we have anyone here, Austin? I don't see anyone.
We don't
here.
have anyone here.
And is anyone, I guess we'll ask the, anyone that's attending on the call, if you can unmute yourself if you want to be addressed. Or address us. See anybody unmuting?
Alright.
So we're going to move forward to presentations. First one is recognition of service of Mary Sipe. And I see we have her here. Oh, there it is, I was going to say. For those of you that are online or whatever, Mary has been with us for not only just serving as a board member since 2015, but also has always seemed to be involved. And we have had limited time actually together, but I know so many people have spoken so highly of you. So it's someone we're going to be, I can assure you, we'll be missing in the village of Marvin as a participant, as a citizen, to volunteer your time for all the things you've done, the meetings you have attended, and your input to this community has been so much appreciated. And we wanted to present to you this plaque that reads, the Marvin Village Council and staff would like to recognize and thank Mary Sipe for her years of service to the Marvin community and for her service on the Parks, Recreation, and Greenways Board, 2015 to 2020. We know you're moving away, and I think we've already somehow have, contacted the administrator, or who was it, town manager?
The county manager.
County manager, so you may not have much time off, but we certainly will we'll miss you here and appreciate all of your service. Thank you so much. Anyone else that wants to say anything, feel free, or do you have any comments?
I just wanted to thank the staff too, because it became pretty clear to me as soon as I got on the board that we couldn't really do anything without the staff, and they've just been incredible. Everybody, Christina, Rohit, Derek, everybody's been great. So, and the council was obviously very supportive of us too. So, and you guys are doing great things. Glad to see the town hall's getting built.
Yes,
Us
yes.
too.
Get you back here for when we open the doors for the
Ribbon cutting, that's right.
Well, we really appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
I was honored to be able to serve with you on the PRG board. You brought a lot to the table, and did a better job than me as chair for sure. But you always had everything under control, and that was very, very much appreciated. And you've done so much for the community. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to miss everybody. This is the hard part, is saying goodbye to everybody. And it's been happening a lot the last couple of weeks, so it's been sort of difficult. But I feel like after 17 years here, we felt like maybe a change. You know, a little bit smaller property. Not so much garden.
They call it not downsizing, but right sizing. So
Yeah.
whatever it is for you that makes you happy. So yeah.
I just have to control my, urge to do too much.
Good luck with that.
But there's already somebody waiting for you on the other end. So.
Right.
Thank you so
Sherry,
much.
so much.
Thank you. She will be missed. I know. Heard a lot of good things about her serving with her. All right. So next up, presentations. We have Bonds Grove Church and Waxaw Marvin Road redesign. Consideration of preferred alternative, RS&H. Okay, that's you guys. All right.
I will go ahead and
RS&H. I think Rohit is going to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and introduce the people who are here with us. We have Allison Drake and Scott Cole from RS&H as the consultant that is working on the Union County Critical Intersections project. This is phase 2, so in this phase they have 5 intersections, and Bonds Grove Church Road and Waxaw Marvin Road is one of them. So they went through a pretty big process to come to this point to show you the 2 alternatives they've studied and presented to the public, and coming to you for your take on their study. So Allison, you can take it away. If you need to share your screen, you can. If you need me to, I can do that too.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share Rohit, but I want to make sure that you're seeing the right thing, so.
Yeah, we got
Does
it.
that computer need to be there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got the
It does.
camera.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we'll get it all squared. We got a different TV setup today, but it's close enough.
It just needs to be put on some books and be lifted up.
Yeah, maybe.
I just want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
How many books here?
Books?
That's
a lot of books. We don't use books anymore.
Yeah, who uses books? All right.
Yeah.
These are to our office.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Okay.
I think this should be fine. Emmy, one, would you please?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'll lift it together. Ready?
Hold on.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
That's a 4K TV. Let's not make it 2K.
Okay.
Yeah, that works better.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does it.
House, is that stable?
It is.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Couple more.
No, well,
No, we're good.
I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
we couldn't see the whole screen, so sorry about that. But go ahead, proceed.
Oh, no, that's fine. Are you guys seeing the PowerPoint presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, we'll go ahead and get started then. So thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to present to you today. As Rohit said, I'm Allison
sorry.
Drake, and Scott Cole is here with me as well. We are with RSNH, and we are leading the effort with Union County on the critical intersection analysis project. So we're here tonight to inform you of the background of the study, where we are in the process, the alternatives that were developed for the Bonds Grove Church Road and the Waxhaw Marvin Road intersection specifically, the results of that analysis and the public involvement, why we recommend the preferred alternative, and then at the end, next steps. So we're also asking you to vote to support the preferred alternative tonight, but we are not seeking any type of funding commitment. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Scott to kick us off.
Thank you, Allison. Everybody hear me okay?
Probably much better.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, yes. It's a lot better.
Okay.
They're sharing this screen.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Union County is growing rapidly, as I'm sure you all are aware. And this has led to increased congestion and safety concerns in the transportation network. In 2014, the county determined the need to conduct a critical intersection analysis that would allow the county and its municipalities to work together to be proactive about transportation improvements and compete for funding. The analysis began in 2016 when 54 intersections were identified for improvements. Out of these intersections, 15 were selected for additional study. Several of these intersections have been funded, and in 2019, the county elected to conduct a new study which identified 15 additional intersections. 11 of these were selected for additional study. 6 were studied last year in phase 1, and 5 intersections are being studied now under phase 2. This map shows 15 intersections. The intersections in gray were studied in phase 1, and the intersections in blue are being studied currently in phase 2, which includes the Bonds Grove Church Road at Waxhaw Marvin Road intersection. In studying these intersections, staff from Union County and the affected municipalities, including the Village of Marvin, formed an advisory committee and have been involved through the entire process. Based on the data we gathered and the results from our analysis, 2 alternatives were developed for each intersection. We have completed our public involvement stage, where we engage the public for feedback through virtual meetings as well as an online survey. We are now here in the process where we have compiled the results and recommended a preferred alternative and are seeking the village's official support for this recommendation. Cost estimates and recommendations will then be compiled into a final report, which will be used to give Marvin and other municipalities a leg up to compete for funding these projects. The final report will be posted on the Union County website upon completion. As I pass the baton back over to Allison to discuss the alternatives for the Bonds Grove Church Road at Waxhaw Marvin Road intersection, are there any questions so far?
I actually have one, probably 2 years ago. I know Waxhaw was doing a big study on their road that led up and ended there, and that's where the study ended. Is this part of that? And I want to say it was part of CRTPO that approved that, and the study went or ended right at that intersection, and we were like scratching our heads wondering, well, the traffic just doesn't stop there, it keeps going. So was that part of that study at all, or are you aware of that study from what that they approved for Waxhaw?
So I know CRTPO approved a study for the western section, I think it was, of the Waxhaw Parkway. Is that what you're speaking of?
Well, Waxhaw Marvin Road, it leads down to Waxhaw. They were looking at all the roads leading in and out of Waxhaw. And one of the studies, and I'm saying CRTPO, but I'm not sure that that's where it really, it came from them or not. But I know there was a study being done with Waxhaw that ended at that point, this intersection we'll be talking about tonight. And I just was curious if that was part of the Union County study, or was that a state thing, or was that just a Waxhaw thing?
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of that effort.
Okay.
Under the phase one study, we did study the NC 75 and NC 16 intersection in Waxhaw.
Yeah,
As
this,
well as the NC 75 at South Providence.
yeah, this
Road.
one was specifically the Waxhaw Marvin Road, and that it just ended at that intersection is where it ended. So this is in addition to that, you know, I guess.
Yeah, I think that study that you're referring to, and Rohi, I don't know if you've seen that, but there was one, I think it might be what you're referring to. It was done by the town of Waxhaw, and it was a Waxhaw Marvin corridor study, and we did look at that while we were doing this analysis just to kind of compare what our results were there. And I believe for this intersection, they did recommend a signal with their analysis.
Okay.
I think that is probably closer to what the mayor is referring to, the Waxhaw Marvin Road corridor study. I do believe that was done.
I just thought it was funded by someone else's, because I get it if Waxhaw's doing the study, but then if it was from CRTPO or from the county we were asking, I know Nick and I were involved in this question. We were in that meeting and we were asking, why would you stop right there? Because that's a critical, in our view, was a critical intersection. It keeps traffic flowing through towns and why it stopped there. But I don't believe it was funded by Waxhaw. I thought it was funded by either Union County or potentially CRTPO. So I just was curious about how that kind of came along with this. But in the end, you're probably going to recommend for us what is the best alternative and how that, you know. But we just know that area in Waxhaw is extremely, it's just growing and growing, and they're continuing to add, you know, homes and development in that area right there, so south of Waxhaw. But go ahead, that's all I had.
So yeah, this corridor is, you know, it's parallel to Providence, so you get a lot of folks from Waxhaw. Speaking as a prior Waxhaw resident, I used to take this route a lot to shortcut Providence Road to get up Valentine. So yep. I'm sure as Millbridge and the other neighborhoods are growing down there, that the traffic's just going to keep growing.
Yep. Okay. Okay. That's all I was curious about, but go ahead.
What's the recommendation?
Okay. All right, well, as Scott mentioned, we did hold an online public meeting and set up a story map, which is an interactive website to receive public feedback from the time period from March 8th to April 4th. So during that time, the public submitted 390 comments specifically just for this intersection.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It was our most popular intersection, I will say. So we'll go ahead and dig now into the alternatives. So as you know, the Bonds Grove Church Road and Waxhaw Marvin Road intersection is currently one-way stop controlled on the westbound Waxhaw Marvin approach, so over here. Review of the crash history in this location showed that a large portion of the accidents involved vehicles turning left from this location from westbound Waxhaw Marvin Road to continue on to Waxhaw Marvin Road. This is likely due to the poor sight distance due to the road curvature and the vertical grades that are out there. Review of the traffic in this location shows that Waxhaw Marvin continuing onto Waxhaw Marvin has more vehicles than the existing through movement onto Bonds Grove Church Road. So based on this data, two alternatives were developed. Alternative one that we're looking at now consists of turn lane improvement and realignment of the intersection to make the highest volume movement the through movement and add a traffic signal. This alternative allows full access to remain to all the properties surrounding the intersection, but some right-of-way acquisition would be required to accommodate the turn lanes. This alternative has the potential to reduce crashes by 27% and injury crashes by 30%, and reduces peak hour vehicle delays by 88% in 2035. The approximate cost of this alternative is $3,640,000. So included in these costs are construction, right-of-way, utilities, engineering and design, and construction inspection. Another thing to note is that the cost is in $2020, and so it could go up with inflation before the project is funded. However, since we're really early in the design process, there are a lot of contingencies included in that cost as well. So some of the feedback that we received on alternative one is that the public likes that it improves safety, it's easier to understand, and had a lower cost. Some of the dislikes we received is that it will cause traffic backups and that it is less effective at reducing accidents. Some general comments that we got include that this is a dangerous intersection, there's blind spots that exist, and there are many inexperienced drivers in the area. So I'll go ahead and pause here if there's any questions regarding alternative one.
No one commented on the cost at 3.6 million?
So it's a lower cost.
Yeah, they said that it was lower cost than the roundabout, yeah.
Wow, roundabout's gonna be more? Wow.
Apparently, we haven't gotten there yet, but that's what
Okay.
I'm assuming from that.
I'll go ahead and switch over to alternative two here. So alternative 2 addresses safety and traffic delays with a roundabout and turn lanes. Similar to the alternative 1, access to all the properties surrounding the intersection would be maintained, and this alternative will require some right-of-way acquisition along Waxhaw Marvin and Bonds Grove Church for the turn lanes, and then right at the intersection for the roundabout itself. This alternative potentially reduces total crashes by 50% and reduces injury crashes by 78%. And then it reduces the peak hour vehicle delays by 92% in 2035. And the approximate cost of this alternative is $5,360,000.
Is the difference because of the right-of-way?
Well, this one, one thing that's kind of different about this one is it's got a larger footprint, so yes, right away, but it also, because of how much traffic there is, you can see that we actually need multiple lanes entering the roundabout and approaching the roundabout. So you're also going to have turn lanes with this option, which are going to make it more expensive than just maybe your standard single lane roundabout.
So it's similar to the Waxhaw Marvin and Newtown one. But I think
Yes.
part of this is probably because of the county's revaluation of property, which is I'm sure gonna raise the cost of construction because of the property being more valuable. Because they've got to do all that acquisition.
Right, and as I mentioned before, we've got a lot of contingencies on here. So we have a contingency on everything from engineering to construction, right-of-way, utilities, everything. Just because we're pretty early on in the design here, so we wanted to make sure we were covered with that cost. So it is probably more on the conservative side.
Is there a lot of utilities that need to be moved in that area, or is it fairly straightforward?
I would say probably some of your biggest ones. I don't know how well you can see that on the aerial here, but there is a power line that's running here. It kind of pulls off of Waxhaw Marvin right near the intersection, and it also crosses here. There's a pole right here on the corner of this horse farm.
Yep.
So that would likely need relocation. Oftentimes when you're relocating a pole, you can't just relocate the one. You've got to relocate ones on either side to get the alignment correct for the power lines and telephone. And then also we did see that it looked like there was a gas line running through here. Hopefully that wouldn't need relocation, but really until you get more into the design details, hard to say.
Okay.
And what's I may have missed this earlier, but what's the time frame to get this done? Did they say that?
So they're not yet funded, so we don't have a time frame for these. In terms of construction, I would imagine you're probably looking at something similar to the Newtown and Waxhaw Marvin roundabout.
The what?
The Newtown Waxhaw Marvin roundabout, in terms of construction duration, I would imagine it would be similar.
Oh, I'm not talking about duration. I'm talking about when are we going to do it?
Oh, yeah, it's not yet funded. So no timeline yet.
So, I mean, that price could go up considerably, considering how long it takes, anything to get funded. We've only been waiting on our last roundabout to be done for, I don't know, a really long time. And that price has gone up. So we could really see a substantial increase in both of these options, correct?
That's correct, yeah. These dollar figures that we're using are looking at 2020 construction costs. So those could definitely go up.
So we're 21 already, so we're already out of those numbers. Okay. So, and how much are you guys asking for Marvin to pony up for this? just get down to the nuts and bolts of it.
Scott, do you want to speak to the funding?
Yeah, pass the buck. Don't answer that.
Nice transition.
Don't be the bad guy. Let somebody else deliver that news.
Well played.
Hey, we're not asking for anything.
Oh, perfect. Great. You guys are going to fund it all? Fantastic.
They're just the.
I know. I'm saying whoever, yeah.
Ideas are free.
Yeah, okay.
This study was to consider alternatives and get a good cost estimate so that you could go after funding.
Is this like,
We're not,
is this likely for like, what do they call it, the spot, for safety, that this would be a candidate for that?
yes. There's a number of funding alternatives to go after, several federal funding alternatives that CRTPO controls. And then there are state funds like spot safety, as you mentioned.
No officers down there.
Yeah, and other funding, and of course there is local funding, as I'm sure you all look very for.
Okay. So you just want us to say we like this option versus this option?
That's what we're looking for.
Okay.
Well, I think in keeping with what Marvin is trying to, traffic lights are not what I would call Marvin. And the lights obviously are pretty common traffic flow, aesthetics, especially where you're at out there. I think instead of any lighting in that area, I would rather see, money aside, I'd rather see a roundabout in there. That's the opinion of one, and I don't have a vote, by the way, but that's my opinion, and I still question that 5.6 million, but it's what it is, I guess. So.
I mean, I think when we've had this conversation before of what would we like to see there, and I think we all unanimously said we'd rather see a roundabout than a stoplight. I'm still in that same camp. I know it's going to be a lot more expensive, but I'd much rather see a roundabout because I feel like the queues are just going to get longer and longer with a stoplight than it would.
And essentially, we're adding. This is a three-way. We're putting 4 lanes right over here. Meadowlark.
5.
Is it 4 or 5?
Is it
It's
4?
4. So I'm trying to get my head around where that one was projected at 1.8?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And this is over close to 4 times that amount. So
Well, because it's got an inner lane and an outer lane. And this one, the one down here doesn't. I mean, it's a lot more space. It's a lot more.
It is more space, but
Wow.
construction cost, I can't. I mean,
Well, maybe
I want to
cost will go down.
I'd like to talk today's dollars just for, I know things are going to obviously go up, but even at that, I just, I struggle with what you're telling me the cost is going to be, but as far as decision, what I prefer would be the roundabout, and I'll leave it up to the rest of the council to.
And I like the idea of the roundabout and the dislikes that the public is putting out there is from lack of education, I can see, because the too much traffic to warrant a roundabout, I think, is totally off base. There is so much traffic, it needs to have a roundabout because it will totally decrease the amount of queues at that intersection. And we've proven this out here with these 2 roundabouts. Even when we had officers directing traffic, which allows for selective movements versus a rigid schedule, which you can make it more efficient, we still had backups for 1.5 miles in the morning, where here, if we have 10 cars backed up at a time,
That's a lot.
it's a lot. So to that, I say, that's, and I think the roundabout is going to be the best solution all the way around. It's going to increase safety by a tremendous amount. There's no way to T-bone somebody in a roundabout, so it makes it much safer. Traffic's going to flow better, and I don't see a decrease in traffic anytime soon. Unfortunately, I live on Waxhaw Marvin Road, and the traffic I see it daily, and it's only getting worse. So that's my 2 cents.
No, I agree with everyone else. I think the roundabout I think the one piece that you mentioned, Joe, was the light is just not a signature of Marvin. I couldn't see that being a solution. Just, that solution would be kicked out right away. So they brought us the information. I think it was great that we had the information, and now it's what we do with it. It is a bad intersection. We need to provide a solution. We know what the solution is. Now it's just to go
Seek the
funding for it and try to drive that cost down in whatever way we can before it gets too out of hand, and just go from there. It's got to go on a priorities list, and where that fits, that's up to us to figure that out.
I think what we're saying is we're a one red light town and we'd like to keep it that way, maybe. If it counts over there. So Bob, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, really, Councilman Workman and Ryan has, kind of said everything that I was going to say. So, I mean, I feel like the roundabout's the best solution. I dream about the fact that when Providence gets widened, I'm hoping that reduces some of the flow of people that would seek that area, but anyway.
Don't count on it.
I think they said in Mid Hill when they put 485 in.
Not with all the homes that they're building in Waxhaw.
51, and that didn't happen either.
All right, so I think our choice is alternative number 2.
Okay, and I did want to share with you too, if you can see these results here up on the screen. The public was obviously in agreement. So 314 votes for alternative 2 versus 66 for alternative 1.
What did our neither people give you as a solution?
We did get a couple of people that felt like we shouldn't do it, anything.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Okay.
When you do nothing, you'll get something you don't want.
So we should frame that.
We'll put that in his office.
Yeah, that should go with quotes under your.
Yeah, it's a notable quotable. Okay, anything else you need from us at this time? Obviously, we're in line with the majority of the community, which is just a matter of, to Jamie's point, seeking out the getting us. Is there something we can do on CRTPO that I attend and Jamie does to kind of help with that process, or what do you need from us?
Scott, could you speak to the federal funding and the matching that we've spoken about before?
Sure. So CRTP does a yearly call for projects, and they do that with discretionary federal funds that they have, surface transportation, block grant, direct attributable funds, and CMAQ funds, which are congestion mitigation and air quality funds. And they basically, their project oversight committee makes recommendations to the TCC and eventually to the policy board, the MPO, for appropriating those funds, allocating them to projects. The federal funds do require connections. That is, they call it a local match. Those can be municipal funds or state funds, like spot safety, for instance.
Could we expect anything from Waxhaw?
Because it's outside the jurisdiction, I don't believe so. But the county has expressed some willingness. Obviously, they kind of commissioned this study and has expressed some willingness in participating in the cost of funding some of these improvements.
Great, that's good.
Okay.
Every little bit helps.
Well, if there's anything, I assume you'll relay that to Rohit if there's anything we need to do in the meantime, or the CRTPO stuff. When does that take place? What time of year?
The fall call for projects, they did a presentation at the TCC meeting just the other day, and I think it starts in about mid-August.
Okay.
It's due in October, as far as I know.
Okay. All right. Any other recommendations or comments from you all?
I'm good, thank you.
I think Allison has another couple of slides to kind of wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna go through kind of the next steps, now that we've, come to a consensus on the preferred alternative. As you can see where we're at here, with this May 2021 schedule was to finalize these concepts, present them to each of the municipal boards as we're doing tonight. And then the next step after that is finalizing a study workbook. So the information in that workbook will help for applying for funding. For example, with that CRPPO call for projects. So there's going to be information in there that's pretty detailed, and then we also are going to have these kind of short project sheets where you can just do a quick reference of the information. So Rohit will be getting a chance to review the study workbook as well as a final copy once it's completed.
Okay.
And that's really all I had, unless there was any other questions.
We had one drop off on our
Okay.
phone, the remote, but I think he's back. Bob, did you have any other questions?
No, I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any from council? I think we're good. Thank you for your work on this. This is what, a lot of it we knew it was an issue, but I like seeing the design, the drawings, and I think the two alternatives were good two alternatives, quite frankly. Obviously, one being much more favorable for most of us, so. But,
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. We appreciate it.
all right, well, we're looking forward to hearing from you
Thank you for
with
your
the
time.
final report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we
right, so
don't have
we
to take
need-
any action on that, correct?
No, but we need to start making a little pot for, put some money in.
A kitty pot?
For it.
A kitty pot?
Yeah.
I just,
Toll booth at the.
Yeah, let's do that.
State line? State line?
No.
Sorry.
No, down there from
Down
all the
there
wax
from
on
Wax On,
friends.
yeah.
Toll road. We'll get that paid for. Yeah, then we'll see how much money comes from wax on. We'll get
Yeah, let's
their
do a
money.
toll road.
Just coming
Can we do
one
that,
way.
Christina?
Just one way. Just one way toll road coming from Waxhaw. Yeah, okay. Good ideas, I like them.
Ideas are free.
We're thinking outside of the
That's another
box.
quote we need to get up. Ideas are free.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have manager's report.
Nope, we have Estates at Marvin
Estates at
Branch
Marvin.
plan.
I didn't see that as a 3, that's why. Estates at Marvin Branch sketch plan, discussion only.
Okay, so I'll again introduce the folks that are here for this. So we have Mark and Rob from Land Design, and I don't think we have anyone from Jones Homes here, but
Ben couldn't make it tonight.
oh, Ben's here.
No, he said Ben couldn't be.
No, he's not.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But this is basically the first pass. This is a subdivision that's going through the process of a sketch plan, and they submitted it around March, I would say. So the Parks and Rec and Greenway Board has seen it, and the Planning Board has seen it, but nobody has made their final recommendations yet. So I did want to give you guys an opportunity to see this subdivision, just to look at it before it comes to you in June for your consideration. And if you had any comments about it, you could make those at this time or in June, but that June wouldn't be the first time looking at it.
And you'll let us know how the public input meetings went?
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Correct.
The public input meetings went pretty well. There were about 10 people that showed up to the on-site portion and 10 people that showed up to the Village Hall portion. I would say that I also received a few comments, and most people came with questions and left with
Answers.
happy answers, yes.
I listened to the portion that was here at the village.
Where is this?
This is being proposed, sorry, I should have started with that.
Across from Elysian Fields.
Oh, okay,
yes.
that one, okay. I
This
got
is
you.
being proposed at Joe Carr Road across from Elysian Fields. It's adjacent to Marvin Creek there,
Okay.
and Marvin Road is down here. I'm showing it on the screen now. I really should screen share too. Give me 1 second. Okay, so north is facing to the left. So this is going to be a 16 proposed 16 home subdivision on 28.5 acres for a density of 0.56 units per acre. It's fairly common style of the conservation style where you have 20%, 25,000 square foot homes, and the rest at least 30,000 square foot lots. Sorry, 30,000 square foot lots.
That's a big home.
With the rest of the land being conservation, this does also have a complication of being having a DEQ buffer on two sides of the property. So that's why you see a lot of undeveloped area. I'll just kind of skip to the few things that are being mainly proposed here that are that would be, I guess, unusual. The one main thing is that they did now increase to have a 75-foot rear yard setback, but as is allowed, they're proposing the tree perimeter buffer to be in the lots as opposed to outside of them and made in a HOA property. The preserve on Golden Bell and did that same kind of model, and Barcroft did that model as well. Where the 25-foot is included in the 75-foot buffer. And the other thing that they're hoping to ask is that on the far side of the property from the creek to have an 85-foot viewshed buffer. That would be the lowest that they could have if the council allowed it. And in exchange to have the maximum, which is much more than required on the other side. Elysian Fields, as you can see, did the same thing for the same reason. They requested the same thing and it was granted by council at the time in 2008 that the buffer, the creek, caused an undue undevelopability of that side of the street. So they could maybe put one house on that whole side of the street, and so could they have this buffer be smaller and this buffer be larger, and that was granted at that time.
Rohit,
Yes.
my question is, with those rear buffers being included in the lot, what happens 5 years down the road and the homeowner goes in there and takes a bunch of trees out, and now you got a big hole?
They wouldn't be allowed to take those trees out. All of them are protected by plat.
I get what you're saying, but
People do what they want to do. And
Joe
that's
Blow
for
with a chainsaw
forgiveness.
goes in there and starts
Right.
whacking trees down. What do we do to mitigate that?
Well, at that point, I mean, we obviously don't have, the ability to police that before it happens, but if it happens after the point, we have various ways to fine people for doing things that they weren't allowed to do.
Okay. I just want to make sure that there's some way, because
Right.
I
That
know
would be a
how
civil
people are.
penalty.
They go buy a chainsaw at Lowe's and they're a happy lumberjack and there's nothing left. But
There's also
So-
HOAs that
Cut your
protect from that happening as well, because for example, in the preserve, there's language that says both the HOA and the homeowner are responsible for maintaining that tree perimeter buffer. So it also falls on the HOA to have that responsibility, and so they will also prevent that from happening.
okay, all right.
Somehow those
And
needs to
penalize
be
homeowners
conveyed
if it
during closing.
Yes, Councilman Mark, please.
Yeah, I have a question. Just for my curiosity, because I may physically go out there and take a look. The road that is in Marvin Creek that has the cul-de-sac, do you know the name of that by chance?
Yes, that would be Wandering Way Drive.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's how many acres total?
It's 28.5 acres.
So buildable though, isn't that a lot of that in
Floodplain.
Floodplain where you
Some
couldn't
of
build?
it, there's two things going on here actually. There is a floodplain, but it's only, this is the floodplain down here.
Okay.
But there's also a 200-foot DEQ buffer that they put on the 6 Mile Creek and its major branches. So
This
6
is a
Mile
major
Creek is
branch.
on the north side of the property and Marvin Branch is on the west side of the property, and both of them have 200-foot buffers.
So is it, that being said, they could only build so much per this, the way it's laid out, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yes.
is that considered a conservation type?
Yeah, so this would be a conservation type subdivision where they've actually stated that 37% of the property is gonna be in that conservation
But it's not
area.
buildable.
Correct.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because
That's
it
not-
still factors into the,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been done that way in very many subdivisions.
So
like Whitmore.
28 acres, technically, they could probably get by right. Maybe.
16.
Right, they have.
No, I'm saying if it wasn't, if
Mhm.
the,
Oh, if they
Oh,
didn't
without
have
the
that,
buffer, they
probably
would-
25 with the
Yeah.
road,
Yeah, okay.
maybe 24.
Yeah,
okay, so it's, so you almost have to look at it like that, because even though it's not all buildable. But I just struggle with, is it really conservation
Yeah,
type, you know?
why wouldn't it be?
It's still undeveloped land.
And they can't ever develop on it.
except for the trail that they are planning. This shaded
Yeah.
area here would be a trail easement that plans to connect to a future 6 Mile Creek that's on the other side of Marvin Road. Marvin Creek sidewalk with Marvin Creek's permission that is actually comes out here and then goes eastward. So with Marvin Creek's, of course, contribution to connect like a 40-foot distance, that would be a pretty big amenity for the community as well. And then finally, the connection across Joe Carr Road into the greenway that's already platted into the Elysian Fields neighborhood. So the greenway network has a lot of connectivity
Yeah. Just,
through this.
we can't use Marvin Creeks right now, they're,
Right, we won't put it on our map as officially part of our greenway network, but that's why they would potentially just leave this easement here for Marvin Creek to potentially connect to it at their discretion.
okay.
We wouldn't be able to compel them.
And we had a number of Marvin Creek residents come to the,
Mhm.
did anybody mention that? Because I heard somebody ask a question about it.
I only heard people in favor of it,
Okay.
like
So-
asking if that would happen, and then the answer was, if
Yeah.
Marvin Creek's HOA connects that piece, this development is already planning to connect it on their side.
Can you reach out to them?
I would say that would be the developer's responsibility,
Okay.
but if you direct me to, I could.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, I know that, like, I know that one of the homeowners is on the backside that came to the public input meeting.
Mhm.
She's on a committee that's on the board, so she knows a lot of board members, so it may be a nice introduction, like,
Okay.
to the board. I mean, I'll mention it to her.
Right. That would be great if you could connect us.
Yeah,
Okay.
you met her. But yeah, I will.
Right. I don't have her. I
Yeah.
did meet her, but I don't
Yeah.
have her contact
Yeah.
information.
And I'll talk to her about it.
So that's pretty much that's the size of it. The developer, like I said, the land design folks are here on the call. So if you have any questions for me or for them, like I said, the only thing that's kind of different about this is that the buffer, the viewshed buffer reduction request that is in our ordinance specifically. You know, if you do determine that there was a hardship, fortunately on the other side of the street they had the same thing and that was approved at the time, so if you wanted to look at precedent.
That was in 2008 that was approved.
Right. And I pulled up the meetings because the planning board, the meeting minutes, planning board wanted to see, unfortunately that discussion was also very overshadowed by the DEQ buffer that was very new at the time, but they did mention that that wouldn't be a problem. In the council members at the time said, you know, that 85-foot viewshed buffer and the greater than needed on the other side, that sounded reasonable to them at the time.
What were the average sizes for all the lots that are?
average size, I'd have to see if it's in the notes, but there's that 2 lots, let's see, 3 lots here are between 25 and 30,000 square feet.
It's about half of what typical by right would be, right? Because we're close to 40 or 38 or most of our lots, correct?
That is what is allowed by right. This is a completely by right subdivision with our large tract standards, the conservation standards, where if you conserve the space, then you can have 20% of the properties be 25,000 square feet, and then the rest of them can be at least 30,000 square feet.
So on 25,000 square feet, what can we expect sizes of homes to be, just out of curiosity?
Well, from the public input meeting, they were saying they've drawn their biggest house footprint here, which is 80 foot by 80 foot. And so they're saying there were going to be in the mid 4,000 square foot, but some could be up to 6,000 something square feet.
And it's not topographically where it'd be basement type homes, correct?
There would be no basement homes. It's a very flat piece of land. Okay. In fact, they're building so little of it that they fall under the 24% impervious, that they don't have to do stormwater detention, and they don't even have to do drainage. They don't have to do the curb and gutter drainage, because the entire neighborhood will just sheet flow into the creek.
Wow. So there'll be no curbs and gutters on?
Well, there'll be curb and gutter, but there won't be the drainage piping under that curb and gutter.
So it'll just flow over. Yeah.
Right. It would just from this area here with swales in between the back row properties, it would just flow into the creek, and it's better for the stormwater to be filtered through this vegetation here than to be filtered through a man-made stormwater detention facility anyhow.
Okay.
It's a very simple subdivision in terms of the stormwater.
And what were initial thoughts of planning board?
They were pretty warm to it. The planning board members, 2 of them came to the on-site meeting, and then they basically said after seeing the site, this is just in and out kind of like approve it kind of subdivision.
They had a problem with the 85-foot view shed buffer reduction.
They just wanted,
They wanted to know what the hardship was.
Right. Other than that,
they didn't really.
Was there a good answer for that?
No.
I had to research it, but at the time I didn't know the answer, but now I found that answer.
Which is
that at the time that Robert Epps, who was making this subdivision, petitioned to the council that the DEQ buffer was the hardship, and the council accepted that.
Okay.
Because, like I said, the floodplain is a lot smaller than 200 feet, but they've imposed an additional buffer for the protection of.
So the hardship that he's citing is that he can't get more homes on that side because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So to gain one more house on that.
Really. Because if you go,
He's talking about Robert's property. He was only able to fit 1 lot on the creek side of the street. One lot.
So these guys would gain 2 lots, 2 homes by using the 85. If they went with the standard, they'd lose 2 lots.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's already only 16 lots on 28 acres. So, I mean, I'm not trying to convince you either way, but it's one of the lowest density major subdivisions.
Are you asking for approval?
I'm just presenting the A to Z of the subdivision. So
It's funny because I've been getting a lot of questions. People ask me, I haven't even seen it yet. So.
That's pretty much it. Like this is your first pass at it. So come June, when planning board has given you their recommendation, June is not going to be the first time you've seen this. That's basically what the purpose of this is.
Which is really good and appreciated.
Yes,
so thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Yeah, of course.
Surprise!
Yeah. Well, you don't even know what people are asking you about.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, if there are no other
questions, I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it. So
if there are no other questions for me or, like I said, land design was on the call, we could move on.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Is there anything else you guys want to say?
They don't know you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Mark and Bob.
I think, Red, you pretty much covered most of my talking points. I think the only other thing I was going to mention, again, you really can't, it's an enforcement issue with that buffer on Marvin Creek, but I mean, that's a nice feature for both homeowners on both sides. It's something that we would have no desire to disturb. Actually, we're kind of fortunate where it's located. You certainly cannot prevent anybody and everybody from not doing something crazy like taking down trees, but I guess there are methods of enforcement after the fact, which is unfortunate. But as far as the rest of the subdivision, the idea is to simply just cut the roads in and only do disturbance to build the home sites, and that's it. The way this site falls, it just lends itself to a fairly simple grading exercise where we can minimize and eliminate all the mass grading. So, if you have any other questions, I'm here, Rob Paca's here, and we'd be happy to answer the chat.
Yeah, they're not looking to anything like age restricted or anything like that. I assume most of them will be the 3 to 4 bedroom
They're big.
homes.
Correct.
They're nice.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've never been over the falls of Weddington, it's the same home builder. Their models there, as soon as you turn into the subdivision, they've got 3 or 4 models there. Some of their larger product, and that's the type of product they're looking to build here.
And where's that at?
That's on Antioch Church Road in Weddington.
Okay.
What was the name of the subdivision?
Falls of Weddington.
Falls of Weddington. Yep.
Definitely will, between now and June, head over that way and look at that.
There's also like a Toll Brothers component to that subdivision, right? So.
There is on the, I think on the eastern side.
Right.
But where the main clubhouse is and where you'll see the signs for Jones Homes there. They're still selling units over there, so all their models are working.
So if you're going to there to compare the models, make sure you look at the Jones Homes models and not the Toll Brothers models.
Okay.
I think Toll's actually sold out, but I'm not sure. So.
Good deal.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you getting us a sneak peek, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've already
Great
incorporated.
feedback. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. They've already incorporated the comments from the public input meeting, so they're being pretty.
And Parks Rec and Greenway.
Yeah, and Parks Rec and Greenway.
Good. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you again.
All right. Moving on. We have managers' reports. Christina?
Yes, a lot. American Rescue Plan, I want to give you an update. However, I just literally received this today, sent in a webinar for about an hour, didn't really get a whole lot more guidance than what we've already received. I do know it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of reporting. There's a lot of pre-application stuff that has to take place. So it's going to be a lot of staff time to lay this out, just so y'all know. I'll have more information once I sit down and review the document in its entirety and attend a few more webinars that our attorneys have absorbed this information to give more guidance.
Just remember, you gotta pass it before you know what's in it. Famous words.
Disc golf.
Who said that?
Pelosi. We need to pass it, then we'll figure out what's in it. So we don't, that's the big thing with this. Nobody knows what's really, if you sign up for it, if you
I got
get
it. All right, keep going. Sorry.
So
Sorry I asked.
You asked.
I did. Sorry.
Disc golf, there's purchase orders have been approved on both ends. We have received some parts. We're waiting on all of the parts to come in.
Pass it around.
Staff is working
Coming
on
tomorrow.
shrub clearing
Ace
as
place.
we speak.
Don't they look nice?
We
Gotta
do-
give them back.
we
We
do
gotta
need-
hand them out.
We do need assistance with the sponsorship, which is what she just passed out.
Oh,
So,
sponsorship.
if y'all-
Sponsorships.
if y'all have-
Derek's got a bunch of these, so if you know people.
Is it 501(c)(3)?
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
No, it's not, but it's still a donation, and that's what your attorney could, I mean, that's what your tax person could do.
The tax person can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
so y'all-
donation,
Hey, don't tell
so.
your attorney. They don't
They're
wanna
not your
know about
attorney,
it.
they're your tax person. Shh, shush.
If y'all know anyone that's interested in donating money or sponsoring the whole
I guarantee I got one guy who will sign up for this.
got a
and
guy.
I got a guy. Can I take this?
You get
Yeah, you can have that one. I'll
Okay,
give
'cause
that.
I have a
See,
guy-
I'm handing them out.
if I see him tonight, he
I'm
may
handing
be,
them out.
he may be in for this. Hockey buddy.
So we're expecting the ribbon cutting around the 1st of July. Any questions, comments, concerns? Nope.
Are we paying it for it first and then getting reimbursed by the
Correct.
sponsors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, y'all did a budget amendment not too long ago to go ahead and pay for it up front. So yes. And the money may come in this year, it may come in next year, so we may see a lapse in that, but we've paid for it already. Street sign replacements, as you know, Canterfield Creek and Weddington Chase were changed out end of April. We have received a ton of emails since that time that other streets wanted to change out their signs. So I did want to ask the board how they felt about private roads having the logos, if they're willing to pay for the signs. Are y'all okay with those private roads having our logoed signs?
As long as they're in Marvin, I got no problem with it if they're paying for them. I mean,
Well, some of them are private roads that want them too.
Like Meadowlark is one.
I'm at public roads.
Yes, that was gonna be my next question. There's another neighborhood, there's a couple of neighborhoods that have asked for them, they're DOT roads, that we'd have to get approval from DOT first. But if y'all are okay with private roads, assumingly you'd be okay with DOT roads as long as they're in Marvin, so.
as long as they're in Marvin, I don't care if they got our seal on it and it makes the community cohesive.
And that being said, we would help with the installation. We wouldn't charge them for the installation, but we would try to assist in that with our current staff, i.e. Derek.
Derek wasn't out there putting them up, was he? Was that him on that ladder?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
That's because we were changing out the brackets too. So is everyone in agreement that they're okay with us selling those signs to the HOAs or?
I am.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good with it.
I know Meadowlark and Innisbrook was one. There's a couple more. I didn't write them all down, but those are a couple of them.
Those are all the tons of emails.
Sure, we want them in this group.
Preserve.
What? What?
What was the other ones? Do you remember? Preserve.
For what?
Your attention.
For what?
The signs when we had.
They said no.
No, never mind. Let's see. The next item is roadside cleanup. Just wanted to report that event did still take place. It rained that day, so there was very low attendance. We did have around 6 to 7 people. They collected around 7 to 8 bags of trash.
And I will say that I never got any communication from my HOA about it. I don't know if anybody else did. From their HOA.
My HOA did the same thing either.
We don't have one, did it?
Roundabout update, we did get confirmation that 52,000 was secured from the Senate. We're waiting on approval from the House on that. That does not affect anything that we've already committed to. This is an additional funding that we will be that we'd be asked for later. Well, if you recall, probably about 2 months ago, they asked for 115,000. We did a budget amendment. I'm sorry, we did a project amendment to go ahead and commit that 115. Then they turned around and said they were going to have another 115 that they were going to request later.
Oh, so that 52 would go to that other 115. Okay. Have we heard back from the county about any extra money they want to give us?
Nope. So I did talk to Sean Epperson. There were some internal delays with the roundabout right-of-way acquisition.
What?
But they have started back since, and they're waiting on reappraisals. I did ask him if the reappraisals are going to affect our right-of-way costs.
Yes.
He said that he tried to buffer that in, so he says no. Still a couple months.
Are we still on track for next year?
Still a couple months out of right-of-way acquisition, but he said the timeline remains the same at current.
Which is again
Next summer.
Yes.
Not this summer, not like in a couple months, but
Oh, I know.
next summer.
Or fall.
Or the next summer.
And any questions on that?
I mean, so many, but we don't have any answers, so.
All right, sidewalk assessment update. As we've been talking the last couple months, we've identified some sidewalks that have some issues, and we went out and addressed a couple of them that were severe tripping and safety hazards that were brought to our attention.
Get him, Tommy.
Since that time, we've received confirmation from our attorney that there are certain sidewalks that we are gonna have to start maintaining, that are in our jurisdiction that are not covered by a maintenance agreement. So we asked AMT what they would charge us to go out and do a sidewalk assessment, just as they've done with the curb and gutter and the roads and stuff. They're estimating around $13,000. We obviously
For
did
the
not.
study?
Correct, yeah. We can either
I
do,
gotta get in the study business.
Me too.
I'm telling you.
Kind of study.
we
Can I get a
can,
little extra stipend to go do the study?
The repairs would be 12,000.
so we can either go do the study or we can drive these on a complaint basis.
I would drive it on a complete basis.
Chaplain, do you see anything wrong with that?
No, because usually your liability runs from what you knew or should have known, and
Should have known. Well, that's not.
hard on sidewalks.
Okay.
But,
Is that the consensus of the board, not to do the assessment and just do it on a complaint
I'll
basis?
tell you what. You give me a list of sidewalks, and I'll go down there and look at them every few months, and then we'll know.
It's all of them. It's all the sidewalks.
Well, I gotta know
No, I don't know.
where they are at the streets. I'll go right around and look, make sure there's no upheavals or anything that's like a trip hazard or something like that.
People will let you know.
Oh yeah, they'll call. They'll let Christina know.
That's all I have on my report.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Christina? Bob?
Nope, good job, Christina, thank you.
There were some questions that I had earlier that I wanted to kind of clarify. There was some discussion about changing the roundabout time of our off-duty officers, maybe up 30 minutes, an hour, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Cause
it's backing up that I can see it at least starting at 4 o'clock, and probably a little bit sooner as like the high school, I guess, maybe gets out and people start running around. So do we want to, I don't know if,
Well, the
Maybe-
last bus comes through right around 4
Change of shift.
o'clock.
When's shift change? What time?
For
your regular,
county,
yeah.
For you guys.
they usually come in about 4:15.
Okay.
And that's probably why we drove that time.
Yep.
so why don't we do 3:30? Oh no, because they're
Yeah.
changing.
And the thing is that if we go too early and we don't have enough on the back end, then we end up running out of.
I'm just saying, like, it was, I mean, I barely turned out of my neighborhood before I stopped.
I
And
get it because
then-
I've been caught in it myself. I'm just wondering about if we move the 3-hour shift
It's only 2.
or 2-hour shift forward, are we gonna run out of?
No, I'm saying add, not
Oh.
shift.
Okay.
Well, then you go to the budget, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna have to, but if we want to do it, and then the other thing is, while I was sitting there in queue, one of the reasons that the line was so long is because we had jerks continuing to turn left at the corner,
Well,
at the no left turn.
but to be fair, that's your shift change. That's when you're going to work. But these are volunteers, correct? Are they using?
But it's some people
vehicles?
coming off a shift and.
Well,
You're
then
gonna
they
limit
wouldn't
your
be
amount
able
of
to.
people. You're gonna limit the amount of people if you're doing it where you can't absorb it in a shift change. Like, shift change is at 4:15,
Usually right around there.
so if you start at 4, you're gonna prevent the people from coming off to be able to do it.
So
'cause you're not gonna be off in time.
those that are getting off, they actually leave, return the
Yeah.
car, and then come back with another car?
No.
No, they're bringing their car.
Yeah, and I mean, the friend that was sitting over here at the church
So
waiting.
why wouldn't he
was there
just stay
by-
there if they were on a shift? And then just
Most
get
of
their
the people work a 12-hour shift, and once they're kind of done with that 12 hours, they don't want to work. So it's probably fresh people coming in that have not worked that day.
Well, then even better then.
Yeah.
So
That's better. Because if they're coming in with their own car, they're volunteers.
Well, they're not volunteers,
Hey,
they're getting paid.
No, I'm saying
They're getting paid.
they're volunteering to work the hours
Yeah.
that they're paying.
So, do y'all wanna move it up
Yes.
30 minutes?
If we can.
Start there, and we can always change it.
Traffic is not gonna get any better.
No.
Okay.
And listen, it's only for, I mean, we only do it during, we do it
No, we do
full-time
it, we do it all year, because it doesn't matter, like.
now. It does, traffic does go down after
Do
school.
y'all wanna try
Not in the afternoons, in the mornings it does.
A little bit, but the flow flow moves better in the mornings because you don't have the stop sign. Everybody there is just turning right. The afternoon is the odd time when you've got to stop and get people out. So that's the hardest time.
Do you want to try to do 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and see how it goes, or do you
No,
want to?
4 to 6:30.
Yeah, absolutely keep it.
So we'll have to come back with a budget amendment to pay for that from fund balance.
That's fine.
Okay.
And then the no left turn. How can we enforce that?
Just our officers on duty will have to.
Thanks, Tommy.
Trying.
Oh, and then just so you guys know, when we start talking about which bid we want to go with the waste collection, there was a waste connection truck that passed me as I was sitting in the queue, and there's trash flying out of the top of it, littering all over our nice cleaned up roads. So.
They're not the only ones.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
Before.
I happen to, catch it and see it.
Real quick, is AMT, have they expressed any kind of timeline when they're gonna fix some of these manhole covers?
No, I'll ask him again.
'Cause
Well,
let me see. It's just, I'm having people complain to me about them.
I'll get an update on that.
Thank you.
well.
That's all I have for my report, unless y'all have any questions.
Any questions?
That's good.
Nope.
All right, moving on, planners report, go ahead.
Christina, do you want to take this one?
Roundabout lighting update. So
Oh yeah, she sent me a text. She's like, "Don't fuss at Rohit." She didn't say that, but that was literally like the undertone of the text was, "Don't fuss at Rohit," but.
Yeah.
So Rohit has tried to reach out to him. I subsequently have gotten involved and basically told him I was going to get his supervisor involved if he didn't respond back.
But who's not responding?
Matt Balcom.
But who is that? Union Power?
Yes. He responded immediately at that point and
That's
told us it was in DOT's lap. So I've reached out to DOT and now waiting on a response back from DOT.
Okay.
So it took them all that time to tell us it was DOT's.
Yes.
Yeah, but I bet DOT's gonna come back and say, "No, it's Union Power's
We're
problem."
waiting
It's been-
for another
yeah.
bureaucrat to tell us.
We need DOT to approve our
Call
our
This
driveway permit first.
Right.
I'm gonna pick that battle.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at this-
Please do.
We've only been asking for the roundabout lights since they were built, so what's
Well, we
another?
had to do the survey,
That's right. That's right.
Make sure it was dark.
Yeah.
and they surveyed everybody that went around. And
They said we can't see anything.
I suppose at this point, the update is that we're trying to seek the actual person who's responsible for.
Rohit's like, "Okay, Christina eased into it. I can take it from
Right,
here."
where it is in the process and see if we can prod that person as opposed to Matt, who's is kind of done what he's supposed to do in his
Okay.
view.
All right.
In his view.
Okay.
And I mean, that's all I know.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's out of our hands, it's Christina and myself, so. Is that it? Okay.
Hurry, move on to the next one.
And I'll trail over
Moving
this
on.
one too, if you don't mind, Rohit.
Sure.
So there was some questions at the last meeting about the minimum requirements of the STIP grant.
Oh, yeah.
And we've done the research. He's got the applications here for you guys to
Want
look
me to hand
at.
out,
You can
look
give
at
it
the
to me.
actual application here?
Long story short, there's no quote unquote minimum requirements. It doesn't really define the minimum requirements in the application, but what we have done is gathered a list of points associated with the creation of the MHD, which is basically the zoning creation. And through that, we were awarded the money based off of the points that we obtained. So if we don't do the zoning, then we potentially could lose those points and subsequently be not awarded the money. So
How are they gonna know that before they award us the money?
Well, they've already awarded us the grant based on this being
And I'm
in
not
the
saying we're not
land
gonna
alone.
do it, I just wanna know what the,
Isn't the grant reimbursable too?
It is
So you have to spend the money
Yeah.
and then seek reimbursement, so it makes
Right.
it easier for them to.
So if we built the trail and then not build the other amenities, and so, I mean, this is a lot of information to digest. I think the main question or concern was, how do they, what are we responsible for in terms of this grant? And I think the answers are really, I didn't really promise all too much in terms of the MHD. the page numbers are not in order, so it's the,
Sorry.
okay, the
Lost.
first thing is on page 10, which is the second sheet of paper, is the points of interest. And I put town center here, I put mixed use center here. Some of the basic things, and not that many, I didn't really exaggerate this. I put obviously 0 hotels, I don't think we plan to do that, or 0 bus stops. So I didn't really promise much, but these are some of the places that we got the points. Another place that's kind of dependent on, I guess the points is, I said that there would be more pedestrian traffic due to this district, so you get more points based on how many pedestrians you get, and I multiplied it by an accurate factor. And then finally, there's the last sheet of paper, which is going to be page 21. Question number 34, there's this equation that I barely hit that threshold of 0.81 to be able to select that cost benefit.
Which one are you looking at?
Question number 34, which is on the last sheet of paper, but not on the back, the front of it. Page 21.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's based on a calculation that's based on your other points. So pretty much if we were to lose a single point, then we would also get knocked down to the lower category and lose 5 more points there. So ultimately, as I've been kind of paraphrasing that, you know, we should be there's a dependency on doing this district to get this money. It's because the points in this application
So it's more of a point thing versus if we don't have retail, or if we don't have a healthy food option or whatever I saw we gave us points for or whatever, then that's not what's going to knock us down.
No, it's a very loose dependency. Like, we're not committed to X, Y, Z, ABC things because of this, because of the things that were promised in this application. In fact, we might do more. In fact, we might see more traffic. Honestly, I underestimated a lot of the things because they're so early in the planning stage.
You mean pedestrian traffic?
Pedestrian traffic. I do mean pedestrian traffic. I think there's going to be a lot more people walking than I anticipated.
Okay.
But you're still waiting. We're working on some kind of technical guidelines.
Right.
To do.
They'll come out with a training series. I believe will start in June. So this is a federally funded project now. So there's basically a lot of moving parts. It's also on DOT's project list. So all these places of support, they recognize that this is their project, and they won't just abandon the project based on little things that we do or don't do based on the points of this application.
All right. Thank you.
That's the end point. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing then is Marvin Gardens Pocket Park update. This is the deed is still in the hands of Publix. They are a large corporation, so in my experience now with them, they do take about a month to sign anything. So, but they did acknowledge their agreement of terms that you guys came to at the last meeting. So thank you for that. Especially thanks to Chaplain for helping out with that process. As for the Pocket Park itself, it seems to be in the budget for next year. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, Derek and Andy have been kind of looking at the terrain and what would need to be cleared and planted. They're trying to see if they can meander the trail around existing native plants and only remove invasive plants. So the actual plot plan that was approved wouldn't be like set in stone. Like, it's not like build this sidewalk here. It's kind of, this is an alignment that would create a nice meandering path, but also adjust it to
So I don't have to take down as many trees or plants or
right to not take down as many native trees as possible, and also remove as many invasive species as possible. And then last but not least, Weddington Chase, of course, was given some money by the developer as a term of the original approval of Marvin Gardens back in 2016. They were given that money and they want to build that sidewalk. They would be building it in their HOA property on Woodmont Road, so not all the way up to Providence Road, aligning with the trail. That's in that location. I should pull up a map to kind of explain
We
what
looked
that
at
is.
this before, right? They were wanting to get permission or something to do that.
Yeah, I think I explained that.
And they're gonna pave theirs and bring it up to ours.
Yeah, you're right. I did
Actual
explain
trail.
this. I did explain this in a previous meeting, but not a regular council meeting. So I guess I won't pull it up. But the point is, they need to do a little bit of realignment of that trail to meet the best place to put the trail under. So.
Which is fine, because it's on their property, but that's fine.
See, I always
Right.
thought they would have access to like a golf cart. If you had a golf cart in that community and you wanted to go shopping but didn't want to take your car, you just drive up in the, because that's a great community to have a golf cart in, especially in the center where the pool is, and you're allowed. I mean, I don't know why they didn't do that or make that a road to access it, because it's going to be hard for them to get out.
I mean, it's a pretty wide
It's a pretty wide sidewalk.
Like, I think a golf cart could easily fit on there.
Yeah, it's like 5 or 6,
Okay.
maybe more than 5. It's like 6 feet wide.
6 feet wide, yeah, that's
Yeah.
more than enough for a golf cart.
Well, that's all I have for that. The construction would begin in like July, and they're hoping. I think Derek and PRG board are hoping to see this happen ASAP. So.
Yeah, I mean, the plan is for as soon as we get the deed signed by Publix, they're gonna go out there and start trying to lay out like what we can do right now. Like starting in July, once we have funding, we can go in there and start pulling out like the invasive species and kind of laying out what the path might look like.
Last but not least, there is the idea that that's been discussed in that Parks and Rec board meeting about an artist competition to design a logo and put that through the elementary schools as kind of like a competition.
Your idea?
Yeah.
That would also be kind of organized in the PRG board.
Yeah, we're working on a letter to the art teachers to get them on board, so.
My daughter was very excited about that, by the way.
Oh, good.
She's a little artsy thing.
Well, you know.
Okay, you can't vote.
I was gonna say.
I'm just saying she was very
It'll
excited.
be a blind voting. So, but I'm hoping that we get lots of submissions and, we can put them up somewhere like at the barn. I mean, even if they don't get picked, so, go see your drawing at the barn. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
I think that's all I have for that. Are there any questions?
Go.
Okay.
The next item. I need to remove the next item because there's something that I need to speak with Chaplain about.
No. Oh, okay. I thought it was
The
the next
next
item.
planner's report item.
I know, I thought the last one was the next one.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the preparation for this item, we found something we probably didn't want to see, so we're gonna work it out with Chaplain first before
Okay.
coming to.
So we have to address the legal issues.
Yeah, I will report that.
Okay, next.
Okay,
Next up.
so last I got is the update on the Innisbrook Trail easement, and I do believe I presented this one only to the PRG board, correct? Not this board. I think so.
Correct.
Don't we know about it? I mean, I know about it,
We
but
know
don't you
about
guys
it.
know about it? No?
I mean, we know that, I think we've discussed in this board that it's happening, but not the fact that I've had now 2 meetings at the site, one with
There's a new
Derek.
owner there, right?
Yes,
Yes,
he's met with them.
So,
Yeah.
just to recap, the Innisbrook Trail, oh my gosh, the CV is really 4K. Oof. So our next CV should be 4K, because,
Or 5K.
8K.
8K. I think they do have 8K.
You gotta
They
go up. Gotta go up.
Yes, you're right. It's up here.
Lawrence right there.
So Innisbrook would otherwise be kind of an enclave of a neighborhood, but in the retreat, the idea was conceived and directed to pursue the idea that a trail would cut through this property here, Mr. Whitehead's property, and cross a creek and connect to the preserve trail. So the Tommy Whitehead was amenable to the idea. He just wants it to be screened, and he wants it to be involved in the design process. And a new homeowner has moved into the property next door. His name was Nate, I believe, and he is also amenable to the idea. Same thing. He wants to be involved in the design process. And so, I went out there with Derek and talked with Tommy, and I went out there with Mike, our engineer, and talked with Nate, and we've kind of worked out an alignment as well as a place that the curb should cut into. 1 second. So Tommy said he wanted the entrance to be as far from his driveway as possible, and Mike said it could be as close to 2 or 3 feet from the drainage box. So that's good, and then it would, let me draw that trail here. It would kind of meander as close to the property line, but all on the Whitehead property, so that we only have to deal with one property owner. And then finally, there's a pipe with some riprap here that you really can't see under the trees here. Our engineer recommended.
It's ugly.
Yes, it's ugly, and it's kind of worn away, and it's also got this huge dip right before the creek for about 15 feet. So
is that the curb outlet?
Yes, for basically the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike has recommended extending the pipe all the way to the creek and then filling it in. That would solve flooding, because then if not for that, the trail would follow the grade and then it would get flooded. And then also solve the problem that both homeowners have brought up, that they don't like the way that looks.
So how are they proposing to get that filter in there?
Sorry, the pipe?
No, the dirt to fill up over the pipe, put the pipe in, add dirt.
Pipe's
and
there.
The pipe would have to be extended then, so that pipe would have to be built,
and
they're
then just
built
cover
on
it.
top of it, yes.
How are they gonna get access to it is my question. Through
their yards.
Through the
their
yard, yeah.
They're fine with it because they both want it covered up.
Right, they both want to cover it up.
Because it's not sightly, I mean, it's not very nice to look at.
Right,
I'm
and
just curious how they were gonna get in there, because that's the only way to get in, is through their yard.
So it'll be hidden and actually go dump right into the stream.
right.
Which is what we.
And then the trail itself would be a natural trail landscaped on both sides.
So would the trail go right over that pipe?
It would go next to it.
Next to it, okay.
Right.
But very close to
Yeah.
it.
That's correct. There's also a manhole. So if the pipe is here, there's a manhole here. That trail would have to go in between those two things.
I still see the line of trails.
And then finally, about a 15-foot span bridge. Hopefully make that decorative over this creek here, and then connect to the preserve trail that goes along the neighborhood back here.
So the question at PRG was,
Yes, the next question was, can we build a trail on a stormwater easement? And Chaplain says that we have to get a separate trail easement. So that so our next kind of direction should be to seek that easement. Which,
ASAP, because especially if they're both amenable to it,
Well,
let's get it secured. And
do
then
we have a plan B if we cannot do such thing? Is there a way to get around that?
if we can't build there without an easement and we don't get the easement, then I don't think there's a plan B. However,
not there.
We've been kind of lucky in that a lot of HOAs have given us easements for free, but in my experience, a lot of times you have to pay for easements. So in the case that he was not willing to give the easement for free, you could pay him for the easement.
I mean, I think we go in as a donation, but,
Right.
you know,
That's true, too.
but I absolutely think that whatever we need to do to secure this easement, we need to start that process, especially because he wants to do this. So let's get it done, and then once we've got it secured, we can, because again, we're not gonna have funding for this trail until July.
Right.
So we can't build anything yet, but we can at least get the easement and start working on the plans.
So who's the drainage easement with Union County DPW, or is it?
The funny thing is that drainage easements, this neighborhood got built in Union County's purview, but they transfer all of that to us. So I would say that a stormwater drainage easement is our easement.
Oh, well then.
No.
But it's still it's still Whitehead's property.
We have to get an easement from Whitehead, nobody else.
Well, I was worried about the drainage easement, getting the easement.
Getting the easement on top of an easement is another issue, which we don't have to deal with, is what you're saying, because it's our easement.
It's ours.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Right.
way we can overlap them.
Right.
So
we can
the
overlap
only
them
thing we have to
with
do
our
is get it
permission.
for Mr. Whitehead, which
Right.
sounds like he's willing to do
that, but.
He's wanted connectability since
Yeah.
I've known the man.
So let's get it.
Okay, so that's something that myself and Chaplain and Mr. Whitehead would have to work together on organizing, mostly you two, because I don't know the exact.
Yeah, just get me his information on the parcel and where the other easement is, and I'll draft an easement agreement.
And I assume we're all okay with him being involved in the design, given that it is his yard. That was his biggest concern.
Him and the other neighbor.
Yes.
It won't be on his property, but he really wants
He's
to
still
be
looking
involved
at
in
it.
the process.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay.
But let's
But let's do it while the
Let's
iron's
do it.
hot,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I've got for planners report.
Thank you. Next up, we have Rose report.
Christina.
I don't have anything, well, yeah, I do.
Spoke too soon.
Maybe I do.
So we have had 4 complaints that we've had over the last several months resolved this past week, and we've added maybe 8 or 10 more to the list. So you will see your emergency repair budget increasing for these repairs.
So how come all those roads in Weddings and Chase are getting fixed, but the ones in Firethorn aren't?
I haven't made any complaints. that we're paying for.
Just getting so I mean, here's the problem. I identified it before they even approved it.
AMT's paying for that one.
I know,
will
but
ask
it's
them about
still not done.
That's why it's not being done. It's not because
Right,
they don't
'cause
have
they're paying
complaints,
for
because they're paying for it.
Maybe
So here we go.
maybe
Well-
next contract we do with our engineers. No, we have a little more teeth in it. If you don't do stuff, we get some.
No, here's
That'll
what we do.
incentivize
We
them.
go out and fix it and pay for it, and then we short their next bill that amount, and you can write on the memo, this is why we didn't pay the full amount.
Or
No.
just tell them that's
that that's
what
what
we're
we're
gonna
gonna do if they don't go out there and fix it themselves.
I mean, because otherwise we're going to be here how much longer and stuff. I mean, I know what has to be done on the corner.
I mean, you're gonna be old and gray by then, but, oh wait.
But other than the manhole covers, do y'all have any other?
Yeah, that corner
Yeah.
of Bearwick.
Mike said that
That
was
is one
resolved.
It's
this morning.
not.
It is not resolved. Who said? Is Mike driven by there? I mean,
He
just.
said he has.
Well.
Oh my God! I got pictures almost every day.
There's water standing in it today.
That's what I'm saying. He went and looked at it. It's fine. Tell him to go and look at it after it rains. And wait a day.
After the
Wait a
people-
day. Wait a week. It'll
After-
still be there.
After the day that the people in the corner.
Tell
mowed
him
their
to go
yard.
on tomorrow's
Tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow. It's
No,
gonna rain
it's
tomorrow.
gonna rain tomorrow.
It's
She
gonna rain.
won't know. Go Thursday and tell me. In fact, I'll take the picture Thursday. Because it should be gone that day when it dries up. Period.
Okay. No, but seriously, tell them that if they are not gonna go out there and fix it, we'll go out
I
and pay
will.
for it,
I'll
and we'll
tell them.
short their next bill.
I have asked him several times over the last,
Several months.
and I've gotten Philip Moxley involved as well, so.
Okay. Jamie.
Here,
Christina needs some
what
more
needs to go in
complaints.
there is a company like Dry Pro. I did this in my house, and they drill down and they basically pump and lift that whole corner up. That's what they're gonna have to do.
What do they fill it with?
It's a
Air.
foam, you know, that it just basically gets in there and it lifts the whole corner up. That will push the water away. It's not cheap, but that's what they're gonna need to do.
Or pour some more asphalt on it.
I don't know.
Well, let's just wait till we get a complaint, and then we'll go and do some.
I just think when we renew the contract, I think we think about when we renew their contract, that there's gonna have a little
Jamie
more
was gonna have a
teeth.
heart attack.
I just think it should have some more teeth in the
All
contract
right,
that says.
I'm good with working that out too.
Okay.
Sorry.
Aren't you happy you have to go after this? Aren't you? We got nothing for you though.
All right.
All right, deputies report, next up.
All right, I do have some good news.
You like good news.
Traffic crashes actually went down last month. So we had a total of 4 PD property damage accidents, and only 2 which were your more serious emergency medical dispatch. Had a total of 18 alarms, 16 business checks. We ended up doing 28 radar patrols, 45 traffic stops. Preventative patrols were at 275, and total calls for the last month were 495 calls.
Hey, be safe out there.
What's a business check?
Business checks are just like the churches.
Okay.
Anything like
Publix.
that, exactly,
Okay.
public building. So yes.
Okay.
Let me ask you this, for someone who's listening, because I know I've done this before.
Nobody's listening. Oh no, Russ is on there.
Especially as Joe, he's always listening to you.
You gotta get that on tape. Yeah, Russ is yeah, I know. I know this was a nice thing that we would do, like if someone's gonna be going away for this summer, a month or a week or whatever, is it common that you might take a call from them and just put you on notice that there shouldn't be any, you drive by that location, you know that there shouldn't be any activity going on?
Yes, they can actually get on the sheriff's office website, and what they would look under, I'm trying to think of how it's worded. I believe it's ucso.us, and you can scroll through, and it would actually be an extra patrol request. They would fill out the form. They could put what vehicles will be in the driveway, any information they want in there to let us know, and then automatically, once they submit it, it goes straight to our in-house system, and we can look that up.
And that's part of your route or something, you would make that and stuff, so. I didn't go through that formality in the past, but I know when I was on vacation, hey, if you see any white vans and packed up to it, that's probably not a good sign. But it's a service I think the community would be nice to know if they were.
And even if they want, just flag us down as we're driving through the neighborhoods. We pass it along between me and Mason, and then to the other zone cars also, we throw it out there to those guys.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions from council?
He's gone fishing.
No, I'm all good.
He's gone fishing.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Parked over here and going fishing with private property across the road.
Yeah, that's.
Tommy?
Check his fishing license.
Yeah, go check his fishing license.
Ask him if he has saltwater fishing license.
I know there's some good fishing back there too, so that's interesting that he would park here and walk across the street.
That is really private property.
It is.
Hey, Tommy, I got a complaint. The guy in the convertible. The guy in the convertible BMW that came to the thing and got
I yelled at.
two floats.
I can send a note to one of the homeowners there.
I mean, did he really park over here?
He's home because I saw him drive in earlier with his.
Did the guy hop the fence? How did he get in?
No, they just you can walk right through.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you can walk through. On the right hand side, you can walk through.
Oh.
He sure enough did. He parked out there, walked across and in down the drive.
Maybe he thought all these cars were over there fishing. Get him, Mason. I mean, Tommy.
Bother you, but by any chance did you invite someone to go fishing on your property?
When we have a new village hall, we won't get
Here,
distracted.
question mark.
I know, we won't.
Had a meeting and just wants to.
We won't be able to see anything.
With the fishing
Bird,
rod and wanted
butterfly,
to run
squirrel.
To your property through the main gate.
All right, let's go. Keep going.
He's walking right down the middle of the road. He's not trying to be discreet.
No. Maybe he's in front of theirs and they said, just park over there and come on in.
Yeah.
Probably not.
The code.
Yeah, probably not.
That's right. You did, Jeff? We're in the middle of a meeting, come on.
Okay. Where are we at? Planning board chair. John Jones, is he around?
Butterfly.
Okay, John is not here. John doesn't have much to say since he's not here, but anyone want to pick up anything from planning board?
That would be Robert or Bob. Anything happen in planning
I
board?
was going to say the major part of the conversation, probably centered on the conservation district and the project that we just discussed on Joe Carr.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll do Parks Rec and Green there real quick since they're not paying a bit of attention. So we talked a bunch about the 22 Marvin Day event planning. Parks Rec and Greenway Board has added an extra meeting every other month to their schedule so that they can really start planning this. We're gonna have a meeting in a couple of weeks, and Jamie's gonna come to that. but we kind of started off a running list that's on the wall over here. But I wanted to get your guys' consensus and your guys' like thoughts on, instead of having it in one spot, have multiple locations throughout the village where different events are going on, and then maybe have it all culminate like at the high school for like a concert, a food truck, or something. We're not sure, but we really just wanted to see if having a bunch of different locations throughout the day works for you guys, because we feel like that's the best way to kind of showcase Marvin and different events and different things throughout the
I
village.
think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
I thought Joe had that idea when we first talked about this.
He probably did, but as we kind of were talking about it, I just wanted, before we started really dialing into different areas and different places, I really want to make sure that that was good with everybody.
Yeah.
The other option, there may be some homeowners that have decent sized lots that would, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
would entertain something like that.
Yeah, and I mean,
Just
we've
say-
got a bunch of different thoughts and possibilities and options, but I really just wanted to make sure you guys were good with that before we really started planning with that thought in mind. So you guys are good with that?
I
Okay.
think it's a great idea, and I love the list.
Okay, so you guys got this for a park update. Okay, so the roundabout plantings, Andy and I went out with Derek yesterday morning. We were working with the guys that did the original install to get rid of the dead stuff, replace it with new live stuff. And then they're going to spray the grass for the PO that's out there. And we're going to get the new, we've got the new maintenance agreement for them to maintain it. And that's it. Okay.
While we're on that,
Yeah.
remember we discussed well.
And that's on the agenda.
That's on the agenda?
It's on our agenda for later. Yep.
Okay.
You can tell Andy read the agenda, so he knows what's going on.
I'm lucky I got here, okay?
Okay, we're all good?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, moving on, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda item as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Can we take a
passes.
5-minute?
Yeah,
bio
I call
break?
for a quick bio break. I need a motion for that.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right.
5 minutes in.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good?
Okay.
Okay.
Bye, Joe.
I'd like to reconvene the regular council meeting. All's in favor?
You don't need a vote for that.
Whatever.
All right.
We're just gonna be.
Next up, we have, consider public hearing, no public hearing scheduled, Village Hall.
So last week, council authorized the vendor to go ahead and start the grading. Also, as of, I think it was Thursday or Friday, we're out of the sketch plan review with the county, which basically means we're going into like the more formal construction document review. However, we have already submitted all of the information in a formal setting, so we feel like that's gonna go through very quickly. The main holdup was the flow had increased on our sewer capacity, and so we had to basically change those rates, and we were able to get those under the 2017 rate, so we should actually get approval pretty quickly there on the sewer. We are waiting on material approval from the engineer currently, and hopefully grading will start Monday. Yeah. If that material gets approved. That's all. I have.
Material, what material for the,
Water, sewer, like the infrastructure material.
okay,
Because they want to order that and mobilize it.
gotcha. So they're gonna start, but they're gonna start mobilizing their equipment on Monday to start stripping and.
They want to make sure the material gets approved, so it's ordered, so they don't have like a stop in the middle of the work, so.
I may not have gas to get it here.
We should carpool overnight.
I'm walking.
Not it.
I'm walking from one house to the other tomorrow to go to work.
And that's all I have.
I'm talking about tomorrow night for a town hall meeting.
I'm on your way by.
Joe's gonna drive.
You'll be in the back.
Yeah, we can't 3 go in. No. 2 by 2.
True.
2 by 2 by 2.
Well, 2 by 2 by
Chance social
1.
media.
Oh, he's not here.
Yeah.
Just don't talk.
And
Just
Yeah,
don't talk
that's-
business, that's all. All right, moving on, unfinished business. Discuss and consider adoption of an ordinance amending the charter of the Village of Marvin to change the number of council members from 5 to 6.
I mean, so moved. I don't need to, I mean, we've talked about it like
Yeah,
5
I thought
times.
we already got.
We've
that.
already
This
approved it.
is the ordinance amending it. So
yeah, you've already had the public hearing. So.
Yeah.
Yes, by the regulations, you do the, by the statute, you do the resolution of intent, you call for the public hearing, which comes at the next meeting, and then the ordinance cannot come before you until the next meeting,
Which is
regularly
this
scheduled,
meeting.
which is this one. The ordinance, is in your packet, and it's just to, add the council seat. We do have it staggered.
Yep,
That was requested, I believe, at the public hearing.
yep.
And do we want to announce this at tomorrow night's meeting or not?
Oh, it's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, okay. I wasn't sure, I don't have the agenda for it.
You were there on Thursday, then when we went over the agenda, were
I
you?
was.
And I'll have to publicize this through the newspaper as well, that this has been adopted.
That's fine.
Okay,
Perfect.
anything else?
Oh, so
Do we need to
moved.
take action on
Yeah,
this?
so moved. Gotta approve it.
All right, so we're approving the amending the charter Village of Marvin to change the number of council members from 5 to 6. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes
Unanimously.
unanimously. Next up, we have discussion of statement of economic interest and code of ethics form.
You know, guys, you know I love talking about this. Okay, so I'm going to keep this brief. Everyone but Mark has turned in their forms. I have not heard from Mark since the March planning board meeting. I've
March?
called March planning board meeting.
Has he been attending?
He was at the March meeting because we had to schedule a special meeting because we couldn't get a quorum. But he was at the March meeting. He was not at the April meeting. I have called his phone. I have sent numerous emails that said that forms are due on this date. If you don't send them in, council may act, and that can include removal.
All right, well, I mean, he's gonna resign, right? Like, this is what we've heard.
Once again, I've had people keep telling me this, but I have not heard from Mark.
I mean,
And
if
I
that's
can't
the case,
find-
I don't know what, I mean,
Here's the deal, if you're continuing, we ask this of everyone, it's not like we're picking on any individual. And if you're continuing to be on the board and you're refusing to send it, then I don't know what else to say, but then we're gonna kindly ask you that you submit your resignation, only because it's what everyone else.
But he's not responding to anybody to submit his resignation, so why don't we just remove him?
But again, I'm just gonna go back to that is on John Jones.
I have talked to
Yeah,
John. John has talked to him, and he keeps telling me that he says he's going to hand me his resignation, but that has never happened.
Right, but I mean, any action that needs to take place should not come from council, it should come from John Jones. Once we go, just because that's the reason he's the chairperson. So go to John and say, okay, John, obviously he's not gonna sign it, so what I need for you to is provide us with a, termination of Mark Peterson on that board.
He can't remove him.
He can't remove him though.
He could
He
request-
serves at our pleasure at the council.
Understand, but to me, the chairperson, that's the person that.
You want John to come to us formally and ask us to remove him? Okay.
And then it would be on your agenda, which should be a cleaner way to have it. Here, you've got the agenda item is discussion of the forms, but it's not
Okay.
discussion of removal of a person.
I will touch base with John sometime soon.
But just
That's fair.
or John can just go ahead and get the letter from Mark and say, and that's the
I mean,
cleanest
that's the
part.
cleanest way to do it. I don't
We'll-
want to have to remove him, but.
We need to have a meeting with John Jones anyway, so we can try to do that tomorrow.
What's crazy is I know they value him because he keeps them on track at the planning board, so it's unfortunate that, you know,
Yeah.
he may have some other.
I hate to see Mark
He's,
leave.
I have heard that he's done, like he's, for multiple people, so.
Okay, well,
Do you want John to come and speak physically, or do you want him just to submit a letter? Okay.
That's fine with the letter.
That's better for the record
just so we
anyway.
can move things forward.
If he gets it to us before our work session, we can take action.
And then maybe, just maybe, we change our own ordinance that before someone is allowed to sit on a board, that information has to be provided.
And I typically do ask them, I typically don't send you guys any applications until I get those forms now. So we kind of already do that in
Yeah, but
practice.
they have to redo it every year, and that's the
I
problem.
understand,
Yeah.
but I'm saying for new members, if we're gonna approve Joe,
Y'all usually
Yeah,
do.
but we never see
Yeah.
the applications unless all their forms are with.
I don't send them now. We had a couple instances of that when we had first established the Heritage District Committee, but since then I've always wait till they get them in before I send them to you guys. So, but yeah, you definitely could amend or whatever rules we currently have for those boards for that reason.
all right. So we got that done? Moving forward, consider, next up, number 3, consider approval of Village Hall financing instruments located at 10006 Marvin School Road and authorize manager to execute agreement with Truist Bank at May 13 closing. Recognize, receive, and appropriate debt proceeds not to exceed $1.8 million to the Village Hall Capital Project Fund.
All right, this is an exciting night, everybody. We have 3 guests on the line.
Jamie's so excited.
Yes, we have, if you'll see, Andy Walsh. He is from Parker Poe, drafted the majority of the documents, an associate there. Scott Leo is near the bottom. He's a partner over at Parker Poe. And we have Chazo, who is with First Tryon, and everybody's turning on their screens. Thanks, guys. This is quite a bundle that we have in front of us, and Chaplain was great with helping us as far as putting in some provisions, the cure provision in particular. But you have a memo which explains, gives you some background information of where you've been. You selected Truist, formerly BBT, SunTrust, as your lender. We're lending, good point about the 1.8, but we're actually, the par value is 1.18 at an interest rate of 2.38% for a 15-year term. And so you've appropriated in your FY22 budget, and Christina has in the recommended budget $102,000. Those are 808. Those are semi-annual payments, October 1, April 1. And yay, the LGC approved us to move forward on May 5th to borrow. That's a huge, huge step. And today what you're doing is you have a collection of instruments in front of you. And so you're collecting it as you're approving it at your motion is, which Chaplain's going to help me with.
I've got it.
You're approving it as a package. And so you've got your resolution, you've got your contract for installment financing, your deed of trust, you're collateralizing the building itself if we default. So Truist cannot come after us and say, you got to raise your tax rate because you defaulted in your loan. They can never do that. That's not the type of loan we're getting involved in. The project fund agreement is where the money will live with Truist, and then the wire transfer just says you can transfer the money in there. So on the 13th, if you all feel good about the documents in front of you tonight, we are moving forward with closing. And so you have 2 suggested motions, which I'm going to turn to Chaplain to help me with the wording, because you're allowing staff to enter into this contract. And then you're also, with the capital project budget ordinance, saying that we're receiving the money and we're appropriating it to the Village Hall Capital Project fund. So without further ado, I don't know if I want to open the floor.
Or I'll talk about the process briefly.
Sure, yeah.
What you're really doing now, and I've given Mayor Pro Tem a revised motion, is you're approving the resolution. The resolution approves all of these other documents, the main ones being the financing contract and the deed of trust, because one's saying you're going to finance, that's your promissory note basically, and the other is your deed of trust, or we like to refer to them as mortgages also. But there's all these other instruments, we name them, and there could be other ones that we don't list that aren't major, but they have the collective authority in that to sign other documents, make any other arrangements consistent with the loan, and the documents do set forth the exact amount, which is less than the 1.8. And there, it's the 1.18.
1.1 in your adopting resolution.
Yeah, so all of that is in there.
Third whereas.
And I think it's all ready to go, if y'all are ready to go.
So when are we actually receiving the funds?
We
'Cause I know
will-
we talked about.
We will have the wire transfer on May 13th. Is that right, y'all? Yeah.
That's correct. The money will be placed into an account at Truist on the 13th, so you'll be able to touch that money on Thursday.
We'll be able to access it as needed, so that's what we pay our payments on as we access X amount of funds. That's gonna determine the 2.3 on that amount, I assume, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, so it's not a drawdown type structure where you don't start accruing interest until you draw funds. And on the day of closing, you'll be accruing interest on the 1.18 million. So regardless of if you spend it all on the 13th, or if it takes a couple months or a year, you'll still be accruing the same amount of interest.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
It's
a
fixed,
project
yes.
fund agreement is in here, so all the money gets loaned and then it gets moved to that project fund agreement that's held by Truist, and then draws are made from that fund.
Okay, so then, I'm just, budget-wise, what we're spending, because it wasn't in this budget this year. We're already at May though, but our first payment will be.
Is October 1?
October 1, okay. All right,
The other thing, just as a friendly, the contractor could never jump over us and draw down from the project fund. Like, they would have to go through us with all of their requests for reimbursement, and then we go and draw down from the project fund
okay.
and pay their invoices.
And we're authorizing you guys to do that, so it's not held up to every monthly meeting where we're approving it. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions from?
No, it's exciting.
Yes,
Alright.
it is exciting, Jamie.
This was an
I
actual.
can tell, look how excited Jamie is.
I am.
Jamies,
The Jamies are very
Jamies
excited
are
tonight.
excited.
Jamies are excited about this deal here.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution and authorize the village manager to execute the installment financing contract, deed of trust, and related instruments.
Further discussion.
Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. No, is it the second part too?
That's the second motion, that's another ordinance.
Okay.
Okay. On that motion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Jamie, just for the record, stood up and said aye.
All right, do I need to do?
Motion passes.
Do I need to do the second motion, Chaplain?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to make an additional motion to approve ordinance
You don't have to say the number.
Okay.
We don't have a number yet.
2021 XXXX capital project budget ordinance amendment number 2 and appropriate the debt proceeds to the Village Hall Capital Project Fund.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Yay! Thank you so much, everybody. This is such a big
Very
step.
exciting.
And I want to say special thanks to Scott, Andy, and Chazo, because they have been fantastic in the entire process, guiding us through. So thank you so much, guys. We'll see you on the 13th.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks. I guess they know where we live, right?
Well, is this funded in all ones?
$1
Oh
bills.
my God. You're a character.
Hey guys, I
Yeah,
just
Bob.
wanted to ask, we're gonna be making payments semi-annually, I heard Jamie say that, right? And then Joe,
Yes.
you said something about November 1st.
October.
October 1st, hey Bob, this is Jamie. October 1st is our first payment. Yes, it's semi-annual. October
Okay.
and April, all the way to 2036.
Thank you.
Jamie, where's the ordinance?
Should be in the last
Very
page.
end.
Last page.
And you'll still be
Christina's
Santa.
hunting for it.
Oh, I see it.
Got it?
It's all the way in the back.
You good?
Are you okay with that?
Can we move on?
Hang on, no.
No, it does have to go through general fund before it can go straight to a capital projects fund. So we may end up having to push it through general and then capital.
Does it need, do I need
Do you
to
want me to change
rewrite
it
it?
now?
No, we'll have to do a
We'll do
separate.
a budget amendment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We got an audit finding 1 year for doing it this way.
Oh.
So it has to go through general to capital first.
All right, we're good though.
Yeah, we're good. We'll clean it up. It's not a big deal.
All right. Moving on, we have new business, H1, a discussion of well for roundabout irrigation.
Is Derek here?
I actually got Andy's name on it, I think.
Nope, you got
Or,
Derek.
oh, I got Derek. Okay, never mind.
I didn't do it.
There was call-in user, it might be.
Wasn't me.
Derek, is that you?
Derek's usually the calling user. I can't
Hey, Derek.
See their phone number.
That would be-
It might not be Derek. You want to take a stab at it, Andy?
Shall I call him? Cause
I mean, we talked about it at the PRNG meeting, and we talked about it yesterday. So it's really, we need irrigation for the roundabouts. We have the pipes that go there. I know when I first got on council, we were talking about putting in a well when we were building Village Hall, and obviously that got delayed. So I think we wanted to bring it back up to see, as we're disturbing the little bit of disturbance that we're doing, should we go ahead and put in a well?
Well, the well shouldn't be a disturbance. It's a 6-inch hole in the ground.
Well, I know, but it's like.
But what I did find out when I was starting to do my research on it is that it has to go through Union County first and get we have to get a permit for an irrigation well because they have parameters to protect the groundwater. So we have to get a permit. Now, there's a process. I didn't get a chance to read all of it, but there is a process to get a permit for irrigation wells. I would suggest that we go ahead and do it because one of the reasons why we're waiting for Village Hall was because we want to irrigate Village Hall as well, so we can use the well for irrigation for both roundabouts and the Village Hall location without using county water, drinking water, for that purpose. So.
It's empty, don't worry.
Oh.
Yeah, there it is right there. That's what I was looking up, and I didn't get a chance to dive into it too far, but.
His plate just fell in his lap, and I thought it was gonna have food and.
So where would,
County irrigation well.
I got it.
but where would the,
I'll just throw it out.
it's not just a 6-inch hole?
No, it's.
Yeah, you gotta have a motor.
Well, I mean, you got, on top of the ground,
Where's that potentially gonna be located?
wherever there's water, and that's gonna be dictated by the well company, wherever they can get.
Your well company, they'll tell you where they're
Yeah.
gonna try to
No,
go.
I know, and then we have to run the piping underneath the road then.
Right.
The pipes,
Yeah,
the
there's
pipe's
a-
already there.
The pipe
There's
is
a
already
sleeve.
underneath the road?
The
There's
sleeve
the
for
sleeve.
the irrigation piping, the conduit's already there.
Sleeve, whatever, it's a 4-inch PVC pipe that was laid in prior
For this
to
reason.
the construction, for this reason. We talked about this in preparation before they started the roundabouts.
Okay.
And they had not planned it, but we had talked about it.
I know we had talked about it, but I just wanted to make sure.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna shove a 1-inch PVC pipe through that, pop it up inside the roundabout, they'll run their irrigation lines.
It's all drip, it's not gonna be, you don't need much.
Yeah, it's,
You know.
and then, well, there'll be a little bit of sprayers for the turf, but it's not gonna be like a huge deal. But when wherever the well head is gonna be, there will have to be an enclosure, there's an expansion tank and depending on, it could be a submersible or it could be an above ground jet pump, we just don't know yet. If it's really shallow, then it can be an above ground pump. If it's deep, they can put in a submersible. But with it being irrigation, you might not even need the expansion tank because it would only be demand when it's pumping water for irrigation. So not like a house where you draw a glass of water and you don't want the pump to come on every time. So
It's just
should
hope
be
we
fairly
find,
simple.
we find water soon, because the longer they dig, the more it is, right?
Yep.
Cost-wise.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the deeper the well,
Can I
yeah.
jump in here for a second?
Go ahead.
You know, I have a well on my property. I've had
Yeah.
a well on
That's the
my
most
piece of
expensive
property.
well.
Can you hear me?
No,
Yeah.
talk louder, Bob.
Okay. I have a well on my property and a well on another piece of property, but I never personally have dug for a well. I've heard stories, but I had a very good friend of mine just recently. He had a cabin in the mountains, and he decided he was going to be in this subdivision in the mountains, and he decided he was going to buy another piece of property on a higher area. And there are a lot of homes in the subdivision, but he decided to, drill for water. And $10,000 later,
That's how much my well cost.
he realized that he wasn't hitting water. And I'm thinking of that roundabout, and I'm thinking, holy cats, you've got that amount of space. What are the odds of actually a well being underneath? And I'm actually deferring to your experience.
Well, Bob, we've got plenty of groundwater in this area. All of the houses on my little strip have wells. The bedrock in Union County is usually not more than about 30 feet down.
Not in my house.
Except for at my house where it's 120. I found that out when I had my chimney righted. But there should be plenty of water in that aquifer there.
But it's a crapshoot, Bob, because it took them 3 days at my house to find water. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of where they pick and where they try.
Is there a well at the old crane store?
I doubt it.
Oh, there might be.
Oh, maybe there is.
The old well for the property is just off of our property, like 10 feet. We found out that you can see it over there. It's 10 feet on the other side of the line.
So
on Robbie's land, but
yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, there's a lot of utilities just next to that in that area. So
No,
that's
if there's a well there already, maybe we can tap into it.
I wonder if there is a well on Robbie's property there.
I know, we can
Well, the aquifer is there, obviously.
Well, that's what I'm getting.
That was probably a hand dug well at that
If
point.
someone knows how far they went down for that one.
Yeah, well, it's on the casing in there. If it was drilled, if not, if it was a hand dug well, I don't know.
Can't be
It
that
wouldn't
far.
be very deep. But that would give us some basis on that. Yeah, and then I don't know. There's got to be a well at the old crane store too, because they didn't have kind of water then. They had to have a well.
Well, why don't we? Okay, so is everybody in agreement that we want to move forward with getting a well dug at Village Hall site?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Too.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so
And I just need to let you know that we didn't budget for this, so this is gonna be a fund balance appropriation project.
that's fine. Or it's going to come out of capital funds.
Contingencies spent
For
this year.
we've got like not that much time. It's gonna take you guys 2 months to get a well person out there anyway. So, right?
No.
spending money.
I mean, the rate you guys are going, can't get my roundabout lights done in 3 years, at least 5 years before a well gets dug.
Don't make
10
her
years for
mad.
Village Hall.
Roundabout in Village Hall site? Both roundabout and Village Hall?
We want the well on the Village Hall site, and then we're gonna run it off to both
Yeah,
roundabouts.
we can access
Okay.
both roundabouts from that because we had property borders at all.
Should be able to.
Mine.
You got some well vendors that you know of, I guess?
There's a couple of guys that are in Union County that work this county that
Okay.
know it real well, and I can get you
Some contacts, okay.
contacts
We'll have to
there.
bid it out, won't we?
Not that, well, we'd have to get 3 quotes, we won't have to bid it.
Okay.
4
But
quotes.
and then we'll have to get an irrigation contractor in there once the well's dug to hook it up.
Okay,
I
we
mean,
can
I
work
can do
together
it
and
on
getting
my
something out on that.
I'll let somebody else do that work.
I got a guy.
Andy.
I got a guy
Andy.
too that does irrigation work,
Okay.
Williamson.
We'll get on, we'll
He's
get on
good.
that.
All right. Anything else? Don't have to know.
You want us to vote on it? You sure?
Yeah, because I'm gonna bring it back to y'all for approval anyways.
We should get a price and all
when I
that.
get
Next up,
the money.
we have H2 discussion consideration of clearing underbrush and debris on the Village Hall site.
Councilman Wortman.
What did I do now?
This is the one you signed up for.
Oh,
Yeah, we
So-
were in here.
yeah, so my suggestion was, because I found out via Derek that getting the brush monster in over here to clear the underbrush and stuff around the mature trees, clear it out, will not, it won't impact our soils. Yeah, it won't impact the soil disturbance zone, because it's just brush. So if we want to go ahead and get started on some of that clearing, we could look into that.
And
Would
when you
you
say
not
get
want-
started on it, what do you mean?
Well, clearing the underbrush underneath the mature trees, getting the fence and stuff that's.
But isn't
in there.
the contractor gonna
Yeah.
do that? or not?
Have you looked at the
That's
area that
outside of the grading area.
Okay.
Okay,
So that's why I'm saying, like, that fence goes almost all the way up to the traffic circle on that front side. All that underbrush, they're not they're not going outside of that acre spot, are they?
I have no idea. I'd have to look at whatever you're talking about in comparison to the site plan, but don't forget that the sewer project is involved too, so
And
maybe.
that's on the other end of the property.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
I
talking
don't-
about up along the traffic circles where so that, underneath those mature trees where all that scrub is and everything. And then there's trash out there. There's pallets of sod out there in different spots. There's just general cleanup and mowing down of the underbrush and stuff like that, which is.
So do we want to wait until the grading gets done in the building?
We don't have to, because it doesn't have anything to do with DEQ's.
But it does in the
soil
sense that if
service.
we did it now, then 9 months later, when we're not even in the place yet, we may have to go back and
We're just
maintain
mowing
it.
Once it's been cut down, we can just mow it.
We'll get some
Keep it.
quote. We'll get a quote or two and then bring it back to y'all.
I think Andy wanted to do it with his
But the
little
mowing
Bobcat.
is gonna
don't have the
cost,
equipment.
I know, the mowing's gonna cost money, and it's like when you put a shovel to something, and as soon as you put a shovel to it, you gotta put a budget to it. Is the only thing that I'd say, and it's just me, but let's just get the grading going first, because it's looked like that forever anyway, so. we're
Grading's
just
gonna
trying
be done, I would imagine that they're gonna have the grading prepped,
Fairly
within
quickly.
a week or so.
Right.
And then as soon as we get our permits, they're gonna start digging footers.
But my point is, we don't know when we're gonna get the permits yet, officially. So why, again, because if we start cutting underbrush, then we have to keep it mowed. And then we're
I
just,
get that, I'm just, it's gonna take time to get our contractors, figure out pricing, get scheduling, all that stuff. By then, we'll be well into construction, so I'm figuring that we get started on getting some quotes and getting things lined up at this point.
no, I don't
At least we
disagree
can
with
get
that
some-
part. I just don't think we take action on it until we're closer to being moving in. It's kind of like, once the house is built, the last thing they do, they put the landscaping in, and you start
Yeah.
seeing all that. And that's kind of when I see that happening, is doing the underbrush, clearing it all out and stuff, and now, okay, here's what we got, and here's what we gotta mow, and with everything else.
That's fine, I wanted to get, an idea of cost and all that stuff and get things moving as we move
I agree.
forward. Because there's, like I said, there's a wooden fence and there's all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of
Properties
crap in
to
there,
clean up,
there's no
so-
question.
Will that, if we did that, would that help in any way with the well?
Possibly, because if they designate a well spot, we're gonna have to clear that spot for them to get in with the well, with the.
They usually do that, don't they?
Well, not if it's covered by a bunch of small trees and saplings and briars and all that crap, they're not gonna do that.
Do y'all want me to just get some quotes and then we'll bring it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, because by the time you do that, and by the time we meet again to get it approved, we're gonna be, we'll be another month.
At least.
Okay, I'll work on that.
Okay. Okay, no action needed there.
Everybody's getting witty today.
Okay, next up, we have an update on Marvin Heritage District process and consensus on direction of the form-based code and timeline.
This is all me. Thank you, guys, for getting guests.
Rohit, let me
Yes.
one little interjection here.
Sure, go ahead.
Rohit worked very hard on this when he presented it to the Heritage District Committee last week. He did a fantastic job on it. He's done a lot of work on it. It's still in process, but he's done a tremendous amount of work on this. He's done a good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, and thanks for the opportunity to get this project to this point. Basically, there was, I guess in April, there was some grief about the direction the final draft was going, so I basically just revamped the whole entire thing and went ahead with the form-based code based on the conversations that have been happening in the committee and the planning board and council and residents and, grabbing from the resident survey over the course of several years.
Are you sharing this?
No, I'm not sharing it, but I should, I guess, because this is just what went out to the
Committee last week.
Yeah, this is exactly what was in the committee packet.
I'm just saying, like,
Last week.
because I'm sure that.
Yes, I'm sure whoever's on the call would want to see it.
Mhm.
So the idea, and obviously this was a 2-hour-long conversation when we had it in the committee, so I'm going to try to keep it real brief here. But the idea behind a form-based code is that we would regulate instead of by conventional factors like in density and stuff. We regulated by building types and lot types and uses, of course. So in this document, we have, first of all, the subzones that, let's see if I can spin this around. I think I should be able to do it the same way I did yes. Subzones, residential only, mixed use, commercial, civic, and these 2 existing buildings only. These existing buildings would be allowed to have commercial uses, but because they can't have the buffer between residential, they have to have far fewer allowed commercial uses. Residential only, and that's self-explanatory, so is mixed use, but mixed use would have to have residential around the perimeter so that existing residential would not be adjacent to commercial. Here, there would be commercial like adjacent to residential, but with very large buffers. So that's kind of how it goes. This and the next section are the kind of the big juicy parts of it, where in each district we define which kind of buildings can go in it, and then we define the buildings. There was some discussion about removing Marvin vernacular, perhaps not having that in a heritage district. These small lot homes would perhaps either look like patio homes or, cottage homes or Charleston colonial homes. Then there's the cottage type, the village house type, Southern colonial or Greek revival. They have similar components. I know they're not the same. And then your conventional square commercial, which would be the building type that looks somewhat like a barn, but is designed to house that 10 to 15,000 square foot use that we were, talking about, some specialty grocery store. So that's the bulk of it. The rest of it is also kind of self-explanatory. The buffer types that tell you what you can and cannot have adjacent to what. The streetscape, which this was a little harder to turn around. But when this is printed, obviously you could just turn your sheet around. So your streetscape, this is also kind of in the zoning district. So if you own a property here, you have to follow this streetscape. And that's another kind of benefit of the form-based code, that it regulates how the district will feel when you're in it, as opposed to, just kind of speaking developer language.
Depictions instead of words, basically.
Yeah. Street network design. This is all stuff that you can look at if you go to the Marvin Heritage District packet from last week. Signage, lighting, dark skies ordinance is in here. Signage is actually already adopted in our ordinance. I wouldn't have done it that way, but it's something that we already have in our ordinance. And then finally, this is also kind of important, the uses table. These are the 5 districts, and these are all of the uses that both the committee and the planning board kind of together came up with. Obviously, this has not been presented to the council yet, other than the first pass that I showed you. I showed you guys this list of, uses, and you guys then said, put it out to the residents and get their input, which I then, shared their input with you guys. But obviously, everything in this is still up for, revision. This is my first pass at thinking of, what kind of uses could be permitted without a special use permit, and then what kind of uses should need a special use permit. Like I said, everything in here is up for.
But we're not talking about this. You're
Right, we're not talking about the
that.
content. I'm just saying that this is how uses would be regulated. You have a table of the use versus the district, and depending on the intensity of the use versus the the type of district, it would either be a permitted use which requires a zoning permit, or a special use which requires a special use permit.
But in terms of your action today, you're requesting
Consensus on the
this
direction
this type of
this type of district.
Form-based.
Yes, a form-based code.
as opposed
so
to the
basi-
ordinance book.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, if I'm not mistaken, I know a little bit about form-based, it's there, it's for our landowners to come to present, work with their developers to present, it doesn't fit within our box.
Right.
essentially.
Right.
That's what's form-based, which gets us away from spending the money investing to figure out what's the best use of land for somebody else's property. That I don't think that's a good use of taxpayer dollars. So I like the form-based. I think that's probably what we should be.
The committee
leaning
was very, I mean, they had very few questions. They had very few comments. The real hot topic was about that Marvin vernacular style house. Some were strongly against it, some weren't. But other than that, the committee they really were, I mean, they just kind of followed, and they were very comfortable with the plan so far. He's got some work to finish on it, but everybody seemed very comfortable with it. There were only a few comments, and there was no any major opposition to anything. They were pretty comfortable.
Right. And in the planning board meeting of April, at that point I had only the building types and the district standards, but the planning board was also very excited to see the district being represented this way. So that's just, that's their thoughts as well.
And John Jones commented that he wasn't sure about form-based code to start with, but he's warming to it.
And so y'all will review all the content at a later date. He's merely just talking about the formats that you see.
Right. Mostly because, again, this is a topic that has gathered a lot of attention, and I want to be presenting it to you as it comes along and getting your, direction.
And in the end, this could take years to come to fruition, or it could happen quickly, depending on cost of building and all those things.
What the landowners want to do.
Right.
Based on our commitment as council, based on our commitment and how we're wanting to move this forward, this is the perfect vehicle to get us to where we want to be. And again, I can tell you that I've seen others like this, and that's not easy to do. So again, I commend you on the work that you put into it, because again, that's basically the foundation that we can stand on to say, if somebody wants interest, that's where they go first, before it's even brought to us or even to planning or anyone else.
Right.
Yeah, but for some reason this feels, I don't know, this feels better than what we've seen in the past. Like in terms of just,
well,
I guess moving it forward. I don't know. This is,
well, because for us, there's not, as long as we kind of look at it as from a 30,000 foot view, that's what, because before we were trying to get into the weeds, and that's not up for us to do.
Right.
It's not up for us to build it so they will come. No, that's the foundation that we're working off of. And if you see that something what your idea fits, you start there.
Yeah.
Then it goes to planning, and then it's.
Yeah, I mean, this feels a lot better. Like
Yes.
I feel a lot more comfortable going in this direction than.
You can visualize it.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know. It feels, I don't know. I like this. This is
I was
good.
really excited about it. I thought it was great. I'm still excited about it, and I was.
All on that side of the table is getting really excited.
Well,
we're all happy to.
And I can tell you from my experience with the Marvin Heritage District Committee that was the least amount of debate and discussion of any meeting we've had so far. I think it really kind of gave direction to the committee, so where they know where to direct the conversation to start now building from this and critiquing this plan and getting a plan down for the for the landowners to come in and submit what they want to put on there, and then we can say yay or nay, and then we can start moving forward with the development. But this is making so much sense. It just gives direction to the whole thing, and I think that the way it's been laid out, a lot of thought's gone into it, and I think that the way that you've approached the layout to be able to balance it is working very well, from my opinion.
So in your opinion, Rohit, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, would the majority of developments like this, like we are looking at, done in a form-based code?
I'm sorry.
Are they done in form-based, or is there something else that's more prevalent to creating a district like what we're trying to create here? Is it done, is that a common, form-based is a common?
Yes, I think the answer to your question is yes. The very charming, kind of downtown neighborhoods you've seen. If I've used Bluffton a few times, that's the form-based code that this form-based code is based off of.
Okay.
So one thing that Michael Lavelle said, said if we could make, not all the parts of Bluffton like some of the more less rural feeling ones, but if we can make Bluffton parts of Bluffton happen here, that's kind of ideal. But yeah, so that's done with a form-based code. Like you define the building, you define the setbacks, and then you let whatever falls where happen.
So do you feel confident in your consensus?
Yes, I think I do feel confident that, as opposed to a conventional type of district, this is a district, the form-based code is how I should be finishing out, the zoning district here.
Okay.
Right.
I think so.
Okay.
This feels a lot better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay.
You're welcome.
Is that all you need on
That's
that?
not it for the item, because I do want to talk about the timeline that,
okay.
Where a lot of the factors that would go into this district have already been kind of
Factored in?
cranked out by the committee and the planning board. We're talking about large buffers, 30% approximately public open space required. And so all of those things, once they're kind of written out in this district, I actually anticipate that the complete version of it would be presented to the next committee meeting in June. So with their final remarks, planning board's remarks, June, July, and then perhaps a final, send off by the committee in their July meeting, that you might be looking for an adoption of the zoning district in July.
August.
That's one thing that he mentioned.
Maybe August, but sometime early summer.
That I wanted to emphasize is the amount of.
Hold on.
Okay.
If you said the last pass at the planning board meeting in July, then wouldn't we see it after that? In August?
Yes.
Okay. But I would actually like to, do we have an August? Yeah, we would have an August work session.
Yes.
You could crank out all the discussion in a July work session and then vote on it in August, perhaps.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant August. I meant July.
The only months you don't have work sessions are April, November, and December.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. So we could look at it in the July work session, and if, it's continuing to move forward. Sorry, Andy.
No, that's
I was.
So, can you touch on that 30% of open park space? Kind of.
Yeah, sure. So that hasn't been written yet in this draft, but basically the idea that we would require each development to propose approximately 30% of the land to be public open space, and then define what public open space is. So a wetland could be public open space if it was built to have wetland trails and nature preserves. A stormwater detention pond could be public open space if it was designed to have a trail around it, and so could a lake. That's my idea, my first pass. Like a lake, of course, there's Scott Letts Lake and the Old Artery Properties Lake. They could be public open space if, you could fish in them.
Apparently, this guy thought it was a public.
Again, the content is not what we're discussing today, so that'll come back.
I got an early jump. What I was getting at was the amount of that.
Oh, right. Since there's 125 acres in this district, approximately 30% being open space would give us an additional over 40 acres of public open space. Currently, our park's 27.
But it wouldn't be contiguous.
It wouldn't be contiguous, but there would be many big blocks. There would be a few 10 or 15 acre blocks, and then there'd be a few, 5 acre blocks here and there. So it wouldn't be contiguous, but it's still 40.
But that's what you're proposing to the district committee.
Right.
Then it'll go to the planning board.
Then it'll go to council.
So I just wanted to let them know that was something that he was proposing, and that was one of those parts of it that I really liked, is that there's the possibility of being able to get that in there. So
right. It's not in this draft because I want it to be complete before making a draft public. I just don't like the idea of having incomplete sections. So I completed a lot of sections and I left other sections completely blank. But that's going in the public open
Okay.
space
And
section.
in the end, it's all gonna be walkable
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
from one end to the other.
Exactly.
And so, are you good with the timeline? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, if you're okay with kind of July, kind of wrapping this up in June, getting the final recommendations from the boards in July and your approval in August,
Yeah.
you'd have an adoption in August.
Yeah. Because we'll be continuously seeing this as you're working on it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Really good.
Any other questions? Comments?
That's all I've got.
Oh,
Thank
really
you.
good.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have H4, discussion and consideration of awarding CPA bid not to exceed $20,000 for monthly and year-end accounting services.
Contain your excitement.
So moved.
No,
No.
no.
It's already in the budget.
Get two firms.
You have to pick one of them.
Oh, did you not
We've
look
got
at
the
that?
recommendation.
I mean,
Do you want to give your
Go,
recommendation?
Jamie, sorry.
sure, no,
Sorry,
actually, I'm
Jamie.
very pleased if you're moving forward.
Ready to rock and roll,
Okay,
sister.
so, all right, so I'll be brief, but if you just want to, we've only had 2 firms, CPA, overall what we're trying to do is stabilize the finance team. So try to get somebody in with subject matter expertise, losing some staff, and try to get some help when I'm on leave. So that's why we're here. So you'll see the bid
Where
tab.
you going?
Well, you
I'm
know.
just kidding. I'm just kidding,
Just
Jamie.
Like, really?
Just kidding.
So that's why we're here today. So we got 2 firms that actually responded. We are recommending Sharp Patel. They are coming in at the number that we want them to come in at, which is $20,400. They're willing to drop the $400. Yes, I know, pennies. Starnes, at one point, those of you that have been around a while, Martin Starnes did an audit for us ages ago. I understand from Christina that y'all cut them because their prices were going up. They propose a 3 to 5% increase every year on 30 grand. So that's one of the reasons why, that's a major reason why I didn't include them. Plus I wasn't sure who the team would be that would be assigned to us. So Sharp Patel, we know exactly who is going to be working with us. Her name's Erica Fulcher. She's got some great credentials that I can share. And so what we're proposing is, what I'd hope for you guys to consider is to award the bid to Sharp Patel. And they would be doing monthly backup, checking on the back end monthly, and they would be doing the basic financial statements for the audit and the notes disclosures for the audit during the time when I'm on leave. Does anyone have any questions? Do you need time to digest, or are you good? Or no?
Can you go back, just real quick?
Sure.
Can you go back, what was the history on Martin Starnes?
Martin Starnes at one point did an audit for us. I forget the year, but as I was going through the audits, they have been a player with us. I understand from Christina that their price tag was going up considerably, and so that's why we, or a
Send
council
them to look
before you.
elsewhere.
Yeah, council before you said, go somewhere else. So
Okay.
now we're with Lee Grissom as our auditor. But, you know, they're also proposing, their number's high. They're at 30,000, which is more than what Christina's proposing in her budget. And the problem that my problem is they have a 3 to 5% increase every year on the 30 grand. And I just got I don't know who's going to be on our team. So I've got a couple, you'll see, you've got a smattering of profiles of people, but I'm not quite sure who they would assign to us.
So did you interview both companies?
Yeah, I've talked to both.
Okay.
And Sharp Patel, I've talked to him on a variety of occasions. He actually came back, which is your add-on, and is willing to help us.
That's a later.
That's
agenda.
a later topic. Yes, it matter. I've talked to both.
Okay.
Now, but they're based in Raleigh, is that correct?
Yes, he is based in Raleigh, and so we were, because of COVID, we thought we could do a lot of things virtual. Starnes is here, you know, they're local.
But it's only one time a month that they would be coming in anyways.
Yeah.
And that's part of their cost of them coming down.
Yes, they
here. So
did.
they're not gonna hit us up for per diem and
No, no,
travel and all that, okay?
Well,
No, no,
we can
Mr.
stay at
Lime,
your
it's-
house overnight.
it's
Yeah, backyard.
all in their
cabana.
proposal, Mr. Lime.
Yep.
They break down like all of the costs. And so we've told them that travel you'll see is zero because
Okay.
we don't expect them to be in town. We hope that we can do a lot of this over the telephone and for them to have access directly remote PC into QuickBooks and not really have to do.
And this is a
That was
one-year,
my only concern.
one-year contract?
Yes, sir. With an extension, if you like them, we could go on to the second year. But right now, we want them for a year. Just to, I mean, it helps our internal controls. It's only me and Christina now doing stuff. So, and Kim, she helps us too.
Yeah, come on, Jamie.
Yeah, Kim helps us with reviewing, but you know, we really need an extra set of eyes.
Okay. Any other concerns, questions from council?
Nope. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Bob?
Nope.
Oh, Bob.
Nope.
Bob's gone.
Bob's good. Did he leave again? I literally just checked
He
him.
could have fell asleep and just.
I literally just checked it, and he was there. He was still there.
Hello, you've reached the phone of
Oh, nope, he's not there anymore. Well, we'll see if he calls me back. I'll answer. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve or award the CPA bid not to exceed $20,000. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sorry. Like to make a motion to award the CPA bid not to exceed $20,000 for monthly and year-end accounting services to Sharp Patel.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion
Thank you so
passes
much, you
unanimously.
guys.
You're so
Welcome. Thank you.
I will
for-
follow
Thank
up
you.
with Jay on that. Do I need to talk about this?
It takes
No,
effect
I'll
when?
get it if you want to leave. You're good.
Oh,
I'll take
yeah,
care
yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah.
Don't be so excited about leaving.
Yep, better go. Bye.
She was excited about presenting. So.
Yeah.
She's just been excited about everything.
I'm just,
There you go. You got some.
we got over a huge hump with Village Hall today.
Yes, you did. So thank you for that. Next up. Where are we going?
Take one, pass it around. Okay, we're moving on. Go ahead.
I know, I'm basically
You're gonna be my
Okay, number
favorite.
5.
I got it.
Thank
Go.
All right, next I have number 5 is
Already told her.
discussion, consider adoption of personnel policy revisions, adding Article 3, Section 8, pay for interim assignments.
So page 18, if you flip to, this is what we've added on. This is something that we should have added in the personnel policy when we redid it. We did not. But basically, this allows us to increase the salary of any individual that takes on interim duties due to vacancies in positions. That I could approve those increases up to 5%. For example, when Jamie is out, if all of her duties are absorbed to Austin, for instance,
God help me.
he would get a 5% increase in temporary
You're gonna
salary
learn-
from
you're gonna learn
associating
numbers.
those duties. Y'all, if it involves me taking on duties, y'all would have to approve that on y'all's end, so y'all would see that in terms of me.
So, you said it, what was the percentage?
Up to 5%.
Of what they currently make?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would be different for each, obviously,
Correct,
if they're
yes.
different.
And there are stipulations on here that it has to be within the budgetary amount, so
Right.
if there's not 5% in there to carry out the rest of the year.
I'll get your glasses back.
Oh, yeah. We've got a box full.
Did you get a chance to review that?
No, I see what you're doing though, and it's
Okay.
not a budget.
You good?
item, You're just,
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, tonight.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to adopt the personnel policy revision, adding Article 3, Section 8, pay for interim assignments.
Further discussion? All is in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next up, we have item 6, discuss and consider of entering supplemental agreement with Sharp Patel CPA in the amount of $3,870 for services from May 12th, 2021 to June 30th, 2021, and authorize manager to execute the agreement and authorize staff to prepare a future budget amendment. This is where they come with the extra money.
Are the handouts coming around?
So
Joe's not passing them around.
basically, the agreement that y'all just approved for Sharp Patel starts on July 1st, and we're asking for this supplemental of
To get us
roughly
there.
$4,000 to get us there.
So moved.
All right. Further discussion on that? All's in favor? Okay. Next up, we have item number 7, discuss and consider entering agreement with the United States EPA to install temporary air monitoring system at Marvin Eaton Park and/or Village Hall site, if allowed by property owner, to monitor air quality and authorize manager to execute agreement contingent upon attorney review. Okay, so I heard a little buzz about this earlier. What's happening?
So, long story short, you know, we've received a lot of complaints about the smell in Marvin. We have been working with the local DEQ Air Quality Division and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to come in and assess what's going on in South Carolina. They have subsequently agreed to put in a air monitoring device for hydrogen sulfide. I have contacted the property owner of this location that we're sitting in right now, and they have agreed that it's okay to locate it here at Village Hall. So upon agreement from council, we would implement this system tomorrow, and it would start measuring the air quality in our jurisdiction.
And it's just for this particular area, right here,
No,
this
no, no.
location?
No, Marvin in general.
Okay, so they will have it in a bunch of different
No,
locations?
no, no, it would measure the quality here, but
That's what I'm asking.
yeah.
Yeah, was it like, because the smell is emanating, we get calls from fire department people,
Yeah, yeah.
variety of different people.
Yeah, but
we're
I
placing
smell
the
it right
device.
there by the,
Corner.
Can I ask a question?
That's the
Just for
sewer
clarification?
burping.
Is that your house that's smelling, Bob, over there?
That's the sewer burping.
That's me. It's all of that runoff that comes from
Yeah,
Innisbrook.
that's bad.
The,
You know what they say, Bob? You know what they say?
Something
It
runs
rolls
downhill.
I know.
You're welcome.
Catch it.
You're welcome.
I have another scheme,
Shade
but
of
that's
it
another
all.
story.
Where's my cup with my clips,
But
by the way?
anyway, the smell, hasn't the smell been legendary over at the bridge? On
How's
the
it hurting?
entrance to Marvin, is that where the complaints are coming from?
No,
No.
that's the burping down there. So you two are talking about the sewer burping. This is like, this is a smell from a
They believe it's a
paper
paper
factory that has
factory.
been converted to cardboard or, I don't know,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so they're basically measuring the amounts of hydrogen sulfide in the system, and we feel like this would be a representative sample of the entire community. So it's not that they have to go out and have all these individual pieces, they're taking a representative.
Do you guys
sample.
ever smell it here?
I've never
I've never
smelled it.
smelled it.
I've never
I've
smelled
never
it either.
smelled it either.
But we have to have it
But
on a
Marvin
property
Creek
that,
smells it regularly if you look at next to it.
I think Derek has smelled it. He's told me.
we have,
Where's the smell specifically again?
It's coming from Rock Hill, right?
Hey,
No.
hey, Lancaster County.
Shots fired.
Oh, Lancaster County, sorry.
It's from Catawba, it used to be Bowater, it's now called New India. It's right there on the
Yeah.
Catawba River on Route 5.
Yeah.
And the smell wafts over, if anybody's been paying attention to next door, it's been blowing this way, and Marvin Creek is getting a lot of it.
I don't know how they get it. I don't smell it.
It's just the way,
terrible, like 25, 30 years ago. It was unbelievable.
it's just
So-
the way the wind blows.
we have to have control over the property that the device is located, so it's either here or Marvin Eford.
Let me see in my backyard.
Or someone
How
from
big is it?
someone from next door that's complaining.
There's a lot of them. It's been,
Okay,
it's like
so,
all
yeah,
the bugs.
so moved. You can put this wherever,
Yeah,
so
I think-
moved.
You guys all okay with that?
Yes.
I think looking out for, I mean, this is the least we can do, I think, so.
Why don't we
All
do
right.
that in a motion since you're gonna put it on your property?
Alright, so we're gonna add, okay, so we'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with United States EPA to install temporary air monitoring system at Village Hall site to monitor air quality and authorize manager to execute agreement contingent upon attorney review.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
People say
passes.
thank you, I'm gonna say you're welcome.
Next, I wanted to add one quick
I'm
thing.
not being smart, what?
Number 8, since Andy and I had some personal experience, did we ever get to a point where we could,
What's number 8?
We don't have a number 8.
I know, but I'm adding one because.
You,
No, you
you have to
can't do
suspend
that
the
right
rules
now.
and reopen the agenda to do
Just do it in
that.
open topics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was gonna do, open topics.
Well, no, you just said number 8.
Okay, never mind, I'll do it in open topics. All right, moving on to open topics. Does anyone have anything other than me?
Nope.
Evidently I do, because I've been drawn into this.
Yeah, well, you were a part of it.
You didn't even leave the room.
No, I just think after a year or 2 years or whatever, how long the roundabouts have been, we had a little personal experience about how bad they are because nobody's really cleaning them. And maybe once a quarter, depending on what it is, once a month, a street
No,
sweeping
He
service.
wasn't involved. We talked about with the
I was not
maintenance
involved.
thing. Or no, maybe
We talked about getting quotes for street sweeping.
Yeah, but then we were gonna. Then we
But
discussed.
we haven't officially talked about it as a group. As
Yes, we have.
council.
That was in a meeting last week.
Yeah, it was last.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
it was the special
Yes.
meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry then.
But
I mixed that one.
That's right, because we decided to
Where
go
we
ahead
at
and
with
get it swept, and
Derek
then
was gonna look into it.
Okay.
right,
okay.
they were gonna.
We did do it. I just wanted to make sure we
sweep
addressed
it,
it.
and then the landscape company.
Listen, I've been waking up in the middle of the night with nightmares with a blower on me, and nothing's going anywhere. I can't sleep.
Marvin Gazette, mayor has dementia.
It's a blower.
Mild case, but getting bigger.
Mild case, yeah.
Oh my god, I'm like, we just talked about that last week.
Seems like it was weeks ago.
It was Thursday.
No, it
You
was
were out of town, you probably weren't paying attention.
It was right.
That's
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because I was on vacation.
You're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
special meeting after
vacation. I did. I get travel time too.
Y'all are too much.
Alright, go, come on.
All right, moving on. Agenda items, review of action items and ongoing action item list.
Okay, Christina will begin selling signs to neighborhoods or property owners along private NCDOT roads.
You're gonna go out and start hawking signs.
That'll be a communication piece. Christina will move forward with changing the officer schedule to 4 p.m. to 6:30. Rohit and Chaplin will work on securing the trail easement for the connection from Innisbrook to the Preserve Trail. I will talk to John Jones about getting the letter to recommend removal for Mark Peterson. Christina will pursue installing a well at the Village Hall site, and she will get quotes for clearing the site. Do you have anything else?
Yes.
What you
The
got?
manhole covers that hurricane.
Really? I haven't heard about that.
Nobody's complaining about those.
Nobody's complaining.
And not just the manhole cover, but the little.
And the Bearwick corner.
Yep, the Bearwick corner.
Got it written down.
Okay.
Budget ordinance for the capital project, Village Hall. Needs to be done.
Wait, what? I thought we just approved
A
that.
budget ordinance for, capital, no.
It's gotta go one place,
Yeah,
it
it's
goes
gotta
someplace
go
else.
through its proper courses.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Hold
Ready for
on.
me? Okay.
Go.
You wanna update us on the sign auction situation?
Yeah, I'm actually meeting with, Tom Becker this week to go over a sign auction that he wants to do with his community, and if y'all are amenable to Weddington Chase selling their own signs, they'd have to go through us due to the disposal of property. But they want to basically have a public event in their community and auction off the signs and use it for a public purpose in their subdivision. So we're going to talk about some logistics.
What is he saying? What is he doing? I missed
They want to sell their own signs, keep the money, and put it towards a public project in their own community.
So instead of us auctioning them off and having money for the village, since it's our property, they want us to give them the signs. And I told Christina, I said, well, how about we sell them to them for a nominal fee, and then they can sell them for a profit.
We can do a private party sale. I need to look at our finance policy and make sure the details that goes along with that, or they can go the auction through us, and we can just turn around and pay for whatever it is they want to do with the money. If y'all
I'd
are
rather
interested
have
in
a
that.
fixed amount up front, and just say, here's
Okay.
10 signs at $50 a piece, and then write us a check, and then however because they may auction them, and they may get $500 a sign.
Right, that's
because
what I,
somebody bidding on their thing,
that's
and
what I
however
told
they want to do
Christina.
it, but I just think, and
Yeah, it
I would
starts to
look
get a little.
it starts to get a little hokey. I'd rather have a fixed amount that we agree upon, they get them, and then we're clean, especially from a legal standpoint, because someone may come back and say, well, why didn't I get a chance to do that?
Well, and also they can say, how did you appropriate? You allowed them to appropriate your
Right.
funds.
Yeah.
So we'll get together
The
then
other option
and
is
get
do
the
what we
disposal
did at
of surplus
Union Park.
property. And it'll have to come back before you all if it's above a certain threshold. If it's not, then I can sign off on the disposal and just sell it to them privately. It'll go back into general fund.
I mean, we did,
Not like that, but as a private.
we did, when we were knocking down the house at Eford Park, we basically put a, what do you call it, silent bid on all the items. We listed all the items that were there, and we just did a silent bid. Everyone came in with whatever they wanted to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't know how it was back then, but now we have certain ways that we dispose of the property. One of them being a public auction, and it's usually through like Gov Deals or something like that, or a public auction that we advertise on Nextdoor, and they come in and they pay us. Or we can sell to a private owner. It can be like a private transaction where, you know, we as a village sell it to.
Weddington Chase HOA.
Yeah. There's another method, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm all for them trying to make some money for their neighborhood, but we were planning on auctioning them off to make money for the village to, you know, we got all kinds of stuff we're trying to do. So I would much rather sell it to them for a nominal fee and then.
So I added up the signs. I think it's like 20 or 30 signs from Weddington Chase. Do y'all have any idea of how much you're looking to receive?
I don't know. I mean, what would we pay for all the new ones?
Roughly between $60 and $75 a piece. Those signs have decorative elements. I don't know what they're worth though.
So
They're bigger.
20 a piece.
Oh yeah, see, I was gonna say like 20 or 25.
Yeah, I mean,
I think 50's.
They're in pretty bad shape though.
Yeah.
All right, you want to say $25 each? Okay. All
I'd
right.
originally said 10, so I went up.
You'd be
Okay, all right,
surprised
all right,
how
then,
people
so that was
pay to
mine,
put that
okay.
in their man cave.
All right, so my
Yeah,
next one
yeah, I
is
agree
the
with
welcome sign. It's not like a welcome sign. It's just the one that says Marvin City Limits. It's like that big and it's green.
Yeah, we looked back at the quotes and I think it was like $400, not including shipping.
No, that's for the one with our seal on it that says
don't want
"Welcome
that
to
one.
Marvin."
That's what we're talking about. No, I just want the
She
Marvin
wants a little
sign.
one that says.
Well, we have those on.
Right, but there's one spot at the South Carolina border where it was,
I took a
but it's
picture of
missing.
it.
It's the same one that we
Oh, coming up
got.
Newtown?
Yeah.
Now, it would cost us a hell of a lot if we have that and you're now leaving Marvin.
Yeah. So many donut holes. You're in, you're out. You're in, back out.
Thanks for visiting.
Welcome back. Hey, thanks for visiting. Welcome back. We missed you.
No, I don't care about that. I just
He
want
said,
that.
welcome back, we missed you.
I just want that. Pay attention. See, I just want that Marvin City Limit side over there in South Carolina.
Yeah.
That can't be $400.
No,
That's both of the signs, I believe.
I don't want both. I want that
the
one.
one we talked about is different. The one they initially asked for was different.
Like, this
It was
is
a
a-
big welcome to
No,
Marvin.
no,
sign.
that is not what I
It
asked
was-
for.
Okay,
This is what I
okay.
asked for.
Just
When
a-
I saw
just a
this,
simple
and I want just the Marvin City Limit side.
I think we have it.
Okay.
And you're like, it's $800. I'm like, there's no way that sign is
That had the
$800.
logo on it, I believe.
Yeah, we're talking about a more decorative one.
I tell you what, get some cardboard and I'll have Lily make you one and we'll put it up.
Okay.
Welcome to the village.
Can we laminate it so it doesn't get bad?
Yes.
The village.
Yeah.
And she'll even do the logo sign out of it for us.
Okay.
We'll get it.
All right, my next one down. Oh, I'm shaking the TV.
No, it's the laptop.
Oh, I'm
The
shaking. Okay.
laptop sitting on the table, so it's like.
Okay. The joint meeting with Weddington. Apparently, Weddington does not want to have a joint meeting with us to
That's sad.
discuss waste collection. So we've just removed that from our list. Which I find rude, but Can we get an update on the resolution opposing the state bill on housing? Do we know anything about that?
Where's that at?
Can we find out about that? And maybe just not be complete with that, because that was a massive, like,
Which one?
poop
Oh,
show.
Update.
So I'd really like to maybe leave that in white until we find out what they're doing with it.
Okay, good update.
That's it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? All right. Next up, we have council comments. Bob, before you get booted off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to thank, really, the whole staff of, the Village of Marvin, as well as congratulations to the residents of Marvin for what was, I thought, an outstanding groundbreaking ceremony, to commemorate, the Village Hall. I thought it was well attended, and I thought it was a neat event for everybody who attended.
Minus the guy that didn't attend and just came and got food and left.
He might have been the one that went fishing.
No, I remember this, guys. I'm gonna find him either at town hall meeting tomorrow night. I'm gonna pull him aside. How was that food?
It was good.
I won't say who I think it is, but anyways.
Do you know who it is?
No, I don't. Anyway, do you want to say anything?
No, I don't.
You sure?
Yep, thank you.
Jamie?
Thanks, council, for everything. I look forward to tomorrow night. I personally put out an invitation to everyone. Please come out. There's a reason we do this. So those that are concerned and have questions and have concerns, that we can address them and take care of them. So, but thanks, council, because I know a lot of work was put into doing the groundbreaking, and you made that special. And I know tomorrow night there's a lot of work that's going into doing that, and I appreciate your work in advance for that. And all the people that can come. Come on. We're excited to have you, and
I'm so excited.
Tommy, Mason, you guys be safe. You guys do something that a lot of people won't do.
I won't do it.
And for some reason,
I still want to drive along.
Oh, I know. I want the ride along too. I know. I need to do that.
unfortunately.
Tommy Mason, come on.
Like right along,
You're like, you don't even need to ride along, you just go. Just tell me how to turn the lights on, I'll be fine.
Here's the thing, if you ride along with me, my track record's not too good.
With ride-alongs?
Driving, no, with driving. I'm accident prone, so.
I got insurance, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, you guys are underappreciated in some areas, but not here.
Not here, we appreciate you.
Well, thank you, we appreciate the support. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Andy?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Joe,
I'd like to.
You're good?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to first say thanks staff as well. Again, I can't say enough. You guys have continued to, not only do the work, but go beyond what a lot of times expectations are, especially with staff being limited and you guys going the extra mile. So we appreciate that. That includes Jamie with the financing, Austin with all the work that you do with the clerking and keeping me on track. Rohit as well.
That's a full-time job.
For the putting that together so it's a little more concise for it, and obviously Christina. So I do think also the groundbreaking was a great success. We had a really nice turnout, and someone made a comment because I know we had a couple extra of the containers. The Village of Marvin containers. Mm-hmm. I know we had a couple boxes.
I don't know how many we have left. I know I've seen three in the building.
Okay, whatever we have left, I think we had a nice gesture. If we have some left, some of the planning board members or whoever serves on our boards, maybe give them out to them. We gave them out as gifts that were anyone who attended. Mm-hmm. But if you have extras, get them to our planning board members or people who use them.
Okay.
Big step in getting closer, and obviously in this closing is a big deal, and getting that. So I'm very excited for what's happening for that. Anxious about town hall meeting. This is a chance to reiterate what Jamie said. This is a chance for you to have dialogue back and forth with council, and I will be asking people that ask questions to identify themselves, because, you know, we want to make sure we're talking to residents. This is for residents of Marvin. So if you have a question tomorrow night, I think I'm going to ask that you at least identify who you are in the question and stuff. And, you know, I think that's fair, because we ask that when you come to a meeting and make a statement. And then if you haven't seen it yet, this is sort of Tommy related, the new patrol car.
Yeah.
I almost got thrown in the back, and Kim tried to slam the door on him and go in the back.
Stuck his foot out real quick, I was like, yes.
Thought I was going to be arrested and stuck in the back forever. But it's a beautiful, nice new car. It says Village of Marvin on it. So that was fun to see pull up in the parking lot here. So with that, I have nothing else. So thank you all for, again, your work, and appreciate, ask for adjournment of the meeting.
At 9:39.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
What must be done?